At the AIADMK headquarters in Chennai's Vanagaram, the EPS faction held party's General Council meet after a nod from the Madras High Court. This was not just another AIADMK General Council meet, but a virtual bout to stake claim to the party, and EPS muscled his way to the podium. EPS also tried to bolt the door so that there is no comeback for OPS in what appears to be a knockout punch. Team EPS tabled a resolution to expel OPS from the primary membership of the party on charges of anti-party activities and allying with the DMK to weaken Jayalalitha and MGR's party. The resolution was adopted and soon passed. EPS faction declared that OPS had been ousted along with some of his loyalists. OPS vowed to take the legal route to challenge his expulsion from the party, claiming that EPS camp does not have the power to sack him as he was elected by 1.5 crore workers of the party.
இன்றைய சூழலில் கழகம் சிறப்படைய வேண்டும், கழகம் வலிமை பெற வேண்டும், கழகத்தை காக்கக்கூடிய நிலை இன்னைக்கு நாம தள்ளப்பட்டு விட்டோம். சில எட்டப்பர்கள் கழகத்தில் இருந்து களங்கம் கற்பித்துக் கொண்டிருக்கின்ற இந்த நிலையிலே, இன்றைக்கு எதிரிகளோடு உறவு வைத்துக் கொண்டிருக்கின்ற இந்த நிலையிலே அதையெல்லாம் அழிக்க வேண்டும், ஒடுக்க வேண்டும், முறியடிக்க வேண்டும் என்று சொன்னால் ஒற்றை தலைமை வேண்டும் என்று முடிவெடுத்தீர்கள்.
சட்டப்படி நீதிமன்றத்தில் சந்திப்பேன். ஒன்றரை கோடி தொண்டர்களில் உணர்வுபூர்வமான தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்பட்டவன் நான். தொண்டர்களை சந்தித்து நீதி கேட்பேன்.
Well, amid this tussle for control on the AIADMK, Sasikala has also entered the arena, throwing her weight behind OPS. She said that EPS had wrongly expelled OPS and his appointment as party's general secretary was itself questionable. She even touched emotional chords by saying that EPS had hijacked the post of Jayalalitha and therefore party cadre will give him a befitting response.
அவரே பொதுச் செயலாளர் ஆனதுங்கிறதே கேள்விக்குறியா இருக்கும்போது அவர் நினைக்கியது எப்படி செல்லும்?
நிரந்தர பொதுச் செயலாளர் ஜெயலலிதா இல்லைன்னு சொல்லி தீர்மானம் நிறைவேற்றிருக்காங்க.
சரி, அதை எங்க கழக தொண்டர்கள் அதுக்கு தகுந்தான பதிலடியை நிச்சயம் கொடுப்பாங்க.
Well, this is not the first time that Sasikala has openly backed Paneerselvam. Both OPS and Sasikala are from the Thevar community, which is set to dominate politics in Tamil Nadu. Lately, she also held a rally across Tamil Nadu to support OPS, who has also extended support to Sasikala with several veiled attempts to bring her back to the party fold and by giving her clean chit over the alleged conspiracy against Jayalalitha. Sasikala and OPS have received strong criticism by the EPS camp for making failed attempts to gain control of AIADMK. However, many political pundits believe that the current rift in AIADMK will have larger connotations and today's developments may trigger yet another split in the AIADMK, impacting the politics of the entire state.
எடப்பாடியார் அவர்களை மீண்டும் முதலமைச்சராக அரியணையில் அமர வைக்கும் வரை நாம் ஓயக்கூடாது, உறங்கக்கூடாது என்று சொல்லி அனைவரும் இன்று முறை அடுத்த முறை ஆட்சிக்கு வருவதற்கு நாம் சூளுரை ஏற்று பணியாற்றுவோம் என்று நீங்கள் எல்லாம் போல இங்கே சூளுரை ஏற்றி பணியாற்ற வேண்டும் என்று.
Sasikala saying that party cadres will be giving a befitting reply to Mr. Edappadi Palanisammy. How do you respond to that?
She is not at all in the party. Why should actually you are caring? And most of them, they never care. So no, not at all any issue. See, simply ignore Sasikala. Okay? Thank you.
Well, is the legacy war over and has EPS won the legacy war? Or will this backfire and hurt his political fortunes? Let's open this up and go across to our guests with those questions. We have senior journalist R. Rajagopalan on the panel with us. We also have senior journalist Shekhar Iyer joining us this evening. Kovai Satyan, AIADMK representative on the broadcast. We have C. Rajashekharan, lawyer and political analyst on the broadcast as well. Good evening to all of you. We are also awaiting presence of V. Pugayendi, the spokesperson of the OPS camp. Let me first begin with you, Kovai Satyan. You've alleged that OPS was involved in anti-party activities and hence the decision of expelling him. But how do you respond to the allegations of taking over the post of Jayalalitha or her role? Because after her demise, this post was banned and the powers were shifted to the coordinator. Will this revival hurt political fortunes in the coming days? Many are speculating that.
No, absolutely not. It's a clarion call. The need of the hour is single leadership, and who is the right fit to take the party forward. So people decided unanimously that the trust is won by Edappadi K. Palanisamy, Edappadiyar, and he had won the hearts of cadres, he had won the hearts of people, he had won the hearts of his peers and colleagues. So it's a clarion call, and it is inevitable. This has nothing to do with bringing disrepute or disgrace to Puruchi Talavi Amma. She is not elevated with the role of a GS or whatsoever it is. She is eternal, and her dream that this party will run the show for 100 more years in TN, that's what we have to work towards to. The dual leadership had its own minuses, and it has costed a lot of things within the party. The third term loss with just mere 3% is yet another example. We could have scripted history by winning the assembly elections for the third consecutive time, which Tamil Nadu had not witnessed post-independence. So taking all these into account,
you're saying dual leadership was responsible for that defeat. Okay, I will take comments from Shekhar Iyer. Shekhar Iyer, this is very interesting. As far as the OPS camp is concerned, they are calling the entire meet itself invalid, although a go-ahead was given by the courts to go ahead and conduct the meeting. Is there a fear now? I'm not sure if the APS camp is going to accept or agree with me, but is there a fear now of a split with the possibility of Sasikala and OPS coming together?
No, see, OPS has been constantly evoking the name of Sasikala, and he has been trying to, bring back the Tevar card. But what has happened is lot of water has flown down the Kaveri. See, EPS has managed to convince the rank and file that he is the only person who at this juncture can pull the AIADMK out of the crisis it has been facing since it lost the assembly election. Now, OPS was given an opportunity for, with some kind of a formula that probably would have given him some senior position in the party without getting into this kind of problem. But today, OPS has reduced himself to fighting for legalities. But the issue is more than legality, because the rank and file are with the EPS. That is very clear, because they look to EPS not just as a Kongunadu Gounder leader. Rather, they see him as a very, very dynamic AIADMK leader who can actually galvanize the party. And we must understand, in the last few months what has happened is a lot of leaders who belong to the dominant section in Tamil Nadu, that is the Tevar community, a lot of those AIADMK leaders belonging to those communities have also shifted to EPS. Because what they see here is not question of caste identity, more as to what is the future of AIADMK and who can take it out. Because if you take Sasikala cannot contest elections till January 2027, because after release also she cannot contest following that amendment to Representation of People's Act for next 6 years. That means till January 2027 she cannot contest election. She can be leader of the party, but that is not going to help. We saw, in the last assembly election, TTV Dinakaran broke away, formed his own party, had his own symbol, even had some alliances, and tried to work on the Tevar, so-called Tevar vote. But that did not work for him. His candidate lost deposits. So therefore, the future of the AIADMK is seen in the hands of EPS.
Okay. And
other legalities, going to the court and all that. You see, if you recall, in 2017, when there was a kind of a patch-up, that was largely to, save the two-leaf symbol, which was very important. And also they were advised by the BJP and particularly the Prime Minister that they should remember the mandate that the Jayalalitha had got for them, and they should work to fulfill it till the assembly elections of 2021. So this agreement between the OPS and EPS was only till the assembly elections.
Okay.
So after that, it is question of the future of AIADMK and
the
what
future of the AIADMK. And those comments are coming in from Shekhar Iyer, a senior journalist who's been following politics in Tamil Nadu for a very long time. Mr. Pugayendi joins us. Mr. Pugayendi, Shekhar Iyer says that the mandate is very clear. It is in favor of EPS, that he can take the party forward. And as far as Sasikala backing OPS is concerned, would not help in mobilizing the cadre or support in their favor. How do you respond?
Good evening. So his opinion he is telling, but unfortunate, or you believe or not, continuously failed. That MP election, Member of Parliament election, totally we have lost except only one seat. That is also that he won from Teni. That is the own constituency of this O. Pannirselvam. That Ravindranath elected. That is all the out of the 39, 38 we have lost. That assembly election, that all in through the leadership of this Edappadi Palaniswamy, we have lost everything. They are not able to. DMK came to power. The local body election also same thing has happened. That municipality and corporation, all the election gone. This is the thing is going on under leadership of this Edappadi Palaniswamy. Now the problem is that Sasikala, Mrs. Sasikala, and Chinnamma, only the elected this Edappadi Palaniswamy announced, that is the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
Elected body, the leader of Tamil party, these things announced by that Sasikala. Unfortunately, later, he don't want to meet Sasikala. He given the very big heart to Sasikala. It has happened in the previous history. Later, then OPS came and joined with merger because of Prime Minister of the
But if there were so
our
many
Modi,
hurdles, if there were so many problems and differences between both the camps, Mr. Pugayendi, and if there was only setback, debacle after debacle for the AIADMK under the leadership of EPS, why didn't you call it off?
Yes. You know, the problem is, now the problem nothing. That December 2021, they have passed the resolution through the committee, that is a Chair Kudu, we are used to call that. That is the executive committee. The coordinator and joint coordinator shall be primary membership of the party for a continuous period of 5 years, electing. The coordinator and joint coordinator shall be elected by the member of the General Council. Cannot change this. Cannot do anything. But again the same story. Now he is trying to cheat, and altogether then immediately he conducted on the General Council meeting without the knowledge of the chief OPS, and immediately announced we are removed. I am going to rule like this.
Okay.
This is the thing going on.
Okay. I want to bring in Mr. Rajgopalan. Both factions, we've heard both factions, both sides, both camps blaming it on each other. The EPS camp and faction saying that it was due to anti-party activities, his involvement with the DMK, that he has been expelled. Of course, OPS hitting back, saying he'll take this fight to the court.
There is nothing called EPS faction and OPS faction. Please correct. This is the third time you are mentioning.
Okay.
There is no split. He is a rebel. Please stop addressing as EPS faction and OPS faction. I am AIADMK. I represent
you are AIADMK and they are rebels.
OPS is an isolated land. He is a political orphan today.
Mr. Rajgopalan. Mr. Rajgopalan.
I am sorry.
Political future and fortunes of the AIADMK. How do you see it?
OPS only.
The legacy war, Swati, you asked about the legacy war. I would interpret in such a way which will be very easily understandable by the North Indian audience of times now. Legacy war is won by Edappadi Palaniswamy today. EPS got into the trap by organizing the violence and locking up the headquarters of ADMK, where MGR and Jayalalitha have lived their life. How can EPS function as a general secretary from tomorrow from the headquarters of the ADMK? That is in Loyal Road. And moreover, in that headquarters, Swati, for North Indian viewers, I must explain, where Jayalalitha won 3-4 times. And the OPS had a Gaudianism there. He made a big trauma and created a commotional situation. And there was lucky charge by the police. And net result, OPS handed over ADMK party headquarters to DMK. That is to Tamil Nadu police. They locked it and they are having the key apart from that. Now, further to explain, in simple terms, EPS, Edappadi Palaniswamy has become Eknath Shinde, and like Uddhav Thackeray, OPS has become like Uddhav Thackeray. That is for the all India perspective. A second thing, EPS is the person who can take on DMK. EPS, Edapati Palanisamy, is the real opposition leader. From next assembly session onwards, you wait and watch how the Tamil Nadu assembly is going to be functional. Because even Mr. OPS will lose his deputy opposition leadership. The reason is OPS got into the trap of DMK and he gave in to them. This is the second thing. Thevar community lost their balance on AIADMK. Now Gounder community has taken over. Therefore, I summarize the things as EPS wins the legacy war.
Okay, EPS wins the legacy war. Mr. Rajashekharan, your response.
I'll put it.
Mr. Pugayendi, I'll come to you. I'll come to you, Mr. Pugayendi. I'll come to you for a rebuttal. Let Mr. Rajashekharan quickly. Yes, let him voice his opinion.
First, Swati, I'll put it for your North Indian viewers, like Mr. Rajagopalan would understand in the same language which he spoke. Edapadi Palanisamy has committed a grave mistake by indulging in these kind of activities, and Mr. OPS has won the battle as on date on merits, because see, the cadres of the party wanted OPS to lead the party. How? You ask me how, I'll tell you.
What about today's mandate? What about today's decision?
Yes. See, I'll tell you, whatever OPS had been was at the behest of BJP. He was asked to protest against Sasikala, he protested. He was asked to come out with 18 MLAs, he came out. Whatever the BJP, my friend Rajagopalan instructed OPS, he did. Today, if OPS has become an orphan only because of Rajagopalan and his friends, and now they want to support EPS. EPS will be arrested any moment in Konanadu case, or a Damocles sword is hanging on the Supreme Court for the CBI inquiry for all his scams. So AIADMK will become an headless chicken. And the General Secretary post, if you see the past, Jayalalitha was convicted as General Secretary. Sasikala was convicted as General Secretary. Now Edapadi will be convicted as General Secretary. So the General Secretary post is a greedy post which is sending everybody to the prison.
Okay, quick rebuttals from Kovai Satyan first, then Mr. Rajgopalan.
Should not twist everything.
Okay, quick rebuttals.
He should be honest.
Mr. Satyan.
No, probably he is trying to learn his expertise in astrology. So I wish him good luck for astrology. Nothing else to be said. For the viewers of North India, if they want to understand it better, let me tell you in Hindi itself. पिछले 20 दिन में 3 बार जा चुके हैं जुडिशरी नौकर के. Sir, आप थोड़ा wait करिए ना. Let me finish. I didn't interfere when you are talking. So please spare your energy. You will get your time. पिछले 20 दिन में जुडिशरी को 3 बार जा चुके हैं OPS. किस चीज के ऊपर? जो खुद लेटर भेजे थे सब कैडर्स को, ये जनरल काउंसिल मीटिंग के लिए आई है. फिर बाद में वो रेजोल्यूशन पढ़ने के बाद वो ही खुद गए कोर्ट में कि ये नहीं चाहिए, दिस शुड नॉट हैपन. आप थोड़ा इसके ऊपर ऑर्डर दे दो कि दिस जनरल काउंसिल शुड नॉट हैपन. द पर्सन हु सेंड द लेटर, ही हिमसेल्फ गोज टू द कोर्ट एंड पैरेलली ही गिव्स अ लेटर टू द पुलिस. आप इसको रोको, किसी चीज के ऊपर इसको रोको. पुलिस वाले ने कह दिया नहीं ये मैरिज हॉल है, सेपरेट प्रॉपर्टी है, हम नहीं आ सकते इसके ऊपर. फिर उसके बाद डिवीजन बेंच में एक इंटरिम ऑर्डर आया था, they could pass only 23 resolution, don't bring in any new resolution. So the division bench also didn't say don't conduct the general council meeting. उसके बाद अभी तीसरी बार गया, अभी 11th today the meeting took place. For that also he knocked the courts of the door. किस चीज के ऊपर? Please stop the general council meeting. 3 बार हार चुका है अभी. मैं आपके लिए एक और चीज बता दूं, पार्टी विल नॉट स्प्लिट बेस्ड ऑन दिस, क्योंकि 66 MLAs हैं एडपाडियार के साथ में. विथ अलायंस वी आर 75 MLAs. खाली 3 MLA उसके पीछे है. ही हिमसेल्फ इज एन MLA, अनदर अपार्ट फ्रॉम इट देयर आर 2 MLAs. विथ खाली 3 MLA लेके पार्टी को आप स्प्लिट नहीं कर सकते. मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द जनरल काउंसिल मेंबर्स, तकरीबन 3000 लोग खुद लिख के दिए इलेक्शन काउंसिल में, we need single leadership. This has to be brought in as a resolution. This has to be brought in as a resolution in general council meeting, and it has been unanimously adopted and passed on. And court has time and again reiterated and said, whatever differences of opinion within the party, you sort it out within yourself. Court cannot interfere in this.
The
in the
majority
argument
has
also this
backed
was
the
mentioned by
decision,
the judge.
Mr. Pugayendi. So on what
So it
basis
goes
are
by
you
the
saying
majority.
that OPS
The
has been
symbol on the
betrayed?
party goes by the majority, and the majority is with EPS.
Majority is with EPS, Mr. Pugayendi.
No.
It is not a betrayal. He is
misleading. That's why already sorry, I have already mentioned very clear. This only the members of the party. The founder of the MGR, that is the MGR bylaw says very clear, only the members of the party, 1.5 crore members, only have the rights to elect the leader. We least bother these MLAs, we least bother these MPs and other people.
There is no
we
change
don't
in
want.
it.
That is a bylaw.
There is no
First
change
through
in
the
it.
bylaw you have to go. The bylaw will stand.
There is no change in that law.
Now when you rejected, when the executive committee passed the resolution, these people have a majority rejected from the general council. So naturally they are losing everything they lose because no MLA, no MP, because the median, this both Edapadi Pandisamy and Panir Selvam signed the A form, B form, declared. After that only these people elected. This is a larger question before the court. So no postings the AIADMK.
Swati, you give me a minute.
These things are going on. Lot of confusion.
Okay.
Here no question.
Okay, a lot of hands going up. Mr. Rajgopalan wants to come in. Mr. Rajgopalan wants to come in. Mr. Rajgopalan, the fight will now be taken to the court, says Mr. Pugayendi, and the bigger question will be resolved by the court. In what manner and how has the OPS been expelled? So he's saying the cadre supports OPS. So how can you remove him?
No, we will not get into the legality angle, Swati. The reason being, it is a political issue. Now, Edapadi Palanisamy is fighting for DMK's, removal from the political scene. Therefore, one has to have a sincere opposition in Tamil Nadu. Let us not get into the legalities because OPS has failed in 6 legal battles. District Court, High Court, Supreme Court. What else you want? Election Commission. So therefore, my understanding is the Election Commission has recognized AIADMK, 2-leaf symbol for AIADMK. Now the AIADMK General Council has elected Mr. Edapadi Palanisamy as a temporary General Secretary. In 4 months' time, he is going to be another election. In that, let the APS, OPS fight it and come out. Let OPS show his strength. Why should he indulge in the violence and hand over the AIADMK party office to DMK? DMK Tamil Nadu police. Rajasekharan may argue today for DMK, but till yesterday he was supporting Narendra Modi. Till yesterday he was supporting OPS. He may blame me. I don't want to get into that. Single point, simple point, मुझे समझाना चाहता हूँ सब लोगों का जो EPS है, EPS को पास जयललिता लेगेसी लेकर के गया है. EPS is Eknath Shinde of Tamil Nadu. The reason being he has MLAs. Therefore, he is the next Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. As per the impressions of 8 crore Tamilians, let us not go into the 1.5 crore cadre. The reason being he is going to be the real opposition leader. Pugayendi may lock it out, but you are going to be locked that very soon. Wait and see. The reason being, OPS has been locked up today by everyone.
Okay, Shekhar, in the run-up to the elections, in the 4 months, do you see any drastic changes happening at all?
There is no drastic change because DMK wants to split that. DMK wants to take the control of their community.
I want Shekhar Iyer to come in. Mr. Rajashekharan, I'll come to you. I'll come to you after Shekhar Iyer. I'll come to you after Shekhar Iyer, please.
Swati, see, the reality is OPS does not command the rank and file. I mean, whatever may be the reasons with him or without him, he has lost support of lot of leaders in the southern districts who happen to be Tevars. See, to simply play the Tevar card every and again doesn't work because whether one is a Tevar or a Gounder or a 1 year or whatever, those who are AIADMK workers and leaders who want to carry forward the Jayalalitha's legacy and MGR's legacy, they are looking at the future. And they already feel that, look, the DMK has been somehow helping OPS. Otherwise, why should they lock up that AIADMK headquarters today, as Mr. Rajagopal pointed out? So there is already a feeling, look, AIADMK should reoccupy that opposition space. because you have the BJP breathing down everyone's neck under Annamalai. It has been very active, very vigorous, and the fear is if the AIADMK does not get into active mode, the BJP emerges the most important opposition party in Tamil Nadu. So therefore, at this moment, I think OPS may go on courts, he can go to Election Commission, but the fact remains his support base is limited to his own sons and also few leaders who are with him. That is why they resort to violence on the streets. If you had support in the General Council, that would have been, before all of us today, but that did not happen.
Okay,
I think OPS should have gracefully accepted what was offered earlier today.
Swati, now such a grand old party, AIADMK, which was representing the majority caste, community, religion of Tamil Nadu, has been decimated as a fringe party, counter 1 year Katchi. It can be called as GVK. AIADMK is no more. It is dead from today. Only Gounder 1 year are dominant. Maybe 2 Brahmins in the panel may love it, it is AIADMK. Because these people are fringe party. These people are fringe party.
You're calling the majority a fringe party.
66 MLAs fringe party.
You're calling the majority a fringe party.
See, I'll tell you.
66 MLAs.
I'll tell you how.
No, the political acumen of Rajshekhar is astounding.
No, I'll tell you. Please allow me.
Nani, Rajshekhar is not representing any political party, Swati. He cannot blame the AIADMK party.
No, what are you talking, Mr. Rajshekhar? You are calling the principal opposition with 75 MLAs as a fringe party.
He's not a lawyer. He's not representing any political party.
Where did you gain your political knowledge and acumen?
Your political knowledge has been questioned, Mr. Rajashekharan.
I'm a politician. I know what is happening.
Swati, can I come in?
Yes, Kovai Satyam Rajashekharan is saying the majority is a fringe party.
Reduced to a counter 1 year Katchi.
Yeah, a party which lost with just 3% vote share, a party which lost the helm of affairs with 3% vote share, which translated to 17 lakh votes out of 8 crore population. We saw the third time, and Mr. Rajshekharan is calling us a fringe party from today. I seriously doubt his political acumen. And the point here is, there is no change in the elevation of General Secretary rule laid out by our founder. Mr. Porenji is trying to confuse the people. It still says the General Secretary shall be chosen by the primary members of the party, which will happen in 4 months' time. The election is going to happen in 4 months' time. And what? No. The coordinator and joint coordinator post given to Mr. OPS and EPS was the same General Council way back in 2017. He happily agreed to it. Now is this the same General Council which is saying we don't want a coordinator and a joint coordinator? You go to the court, you fall flat, and you indulge in vandalizing the temple, which is our party headquarters. You take thugs, you take paid rowdies and goons. Under your leadership, they vandalize and ransack the party headquarters. And you elope with files.
Okay, I want to bring in Mr. Rajgopalan. See, Rajashekharan has called the majority of fringe. Mr. Kovai Sathyan, of course, hitting back. Tell me something, Mr. Rajgopalan. How is the BJP viewing these developments at this point of time?
BJP wants to create a space in Tamil Nadu, which every political party, even Rajshekharan may call BJP as a fringe party because he does not have political acumen. I blame Mr. Rajshekharan. The reason being, he does not represent any political party and he cannot come and say one party is fringe, another party. Coming to your point, Madam Swati, BJP will view that all the three should combine together and fight out Karunanidhi's family party called DMK, Gaur Parivarvad Party. If these two, Sasikala and TTV Dinakaran and OPS are going to side with MK Stalin and DMK, then God save Tamil Nadu. The reason being, my understanding is, OPS has fallen into the trap of DMK. OPS has fallen into the trap of violence. OPS distributed everything to Supreme Court, High Court, Lower Court. He did not win anywhere. Now his option is only one wide open, whether he joins DMK or that sort. He will join DMK.
You've been equating the situation in Tamil Nadu, that of Maharashtra, Mr. Rajgopalan. I want to ask a quick follow-up question. I want to bring in Shekhar Iyer. Shekhar Iyer, is there going to be a Eknath Shinde in DMK, or will this power struggle continue in AIADMK?
No, well, the Eknath Shinde of DMK will happen when Stalin decides his successor. That may happen in a few months' time when he decides to give a role to Udayanidhi Stalin. So that is a story that is waiting to happen. But at the moment, definitely, when somebody is attempting to put the ADMK back in form, somebody is attempting to put ADMK as an opposition, I mean, making it more vigorous, because this infighting has eaten into the vitals of the party, and the rank and file are very upset. They feel that OPS, such a senior person, he should have gracefully accepted a formula that was offered by the interlocutors. He was even given the chance of heading the presidium. He could have accepted gracefully and taken care of whatever his interest. Instead of that, I think he has played into a larger game of which he will be the sufferer, because neither Sasikala or TTV Dinakaran can come to his aid at this juncture. It is entirely going to be EPS, and EPS, apart from the fact that he managed to, bring a decent number to the ADMK in the last election, he has also impressed the rank and file. We cannot deny that. See, therefore, this is the reality before the people, and people are looking, because people have been asking what has happened to ADMK in Tamil Nadu. Because people of Tamil Nadu are also looking at the option. You have the DMK under Annamalai, which is surging ahead. But what about the ADMK? I think today's developments have a lot to do with what the public pulse is, saying in Tamil Nadu. Swati.
Swati, only 1 second, you give me an opportunity. Only one second.
Yes.
You asked about Eknath Shinde, who is in DMK.
No.
The point is, OPS has spoiled the Tamil Nadu, future of Tamil Nadu and the aspirations of youngsters of Tamil Nadu. The reason being, in DMK, there is a vast amount of problems in DMK. They are camouflaging it with a lot of things. As Sekara said, once Udayanidhi has taken over as DMK's president, then there will be one Eknath Shinde in DMK also. It is comparatively comparison between Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu.
Okay, more and more similarities in your argument between Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. Kovai Satyan, has OPS been completely cut off? Will he get an opportunity to fight it out?
Swati, may I come in?
Hello.
After Mr. Satyan.
Hello, asking me. Hello.
No, even today in the General Council, the seat on the dais was vacant. As a treasurer, he was invited. But he took a call to go take goons and thugs and vandalize the party headquarters, which is not welcomed well by the party cadres, but the people as well. Whatever the element of 0.1% of sympathy or soft corner people had on him is lost today. And he has to script his future. He has already lost
What is going to be?
3 or 4 times on the judiciary fighting for the leadership role. Now henceforth he will be alive. He will be alive only in media like Sasikala.
Yeah.
What is going to be Mr. OPS's future?
Like
what is going to be his next step?
Swati!
No.
Please.
Mr. Pugayendi.
No, one second. 2017. This is the ordered by Election Commission of India. That 2 leaves allotted, led by Madhusudan group. The means not only the. No, sir, you allow me to speak, sir. Then you allow me to speak.
Okay, go ahead, Mr.
Then that is the group, Mr. O. Pannirselvam and another one, Sembere. That only that Election Commission given all the rights to Mr. O. Pannirselvam, because that another Madhusudan is no more now. Now, that intervener, only the Edapadi Padisami, I am also intervener. So, the middle, he came and joined, except by that O. Pannirselvam.
What did Supreme Court say today? What did Supreme Court say?
Clearly, bylaw says that, what Supreme Court says, according to the law, go and conduct the General Council meeting. Here, no
what
law.
Was held today?
Nothing.
General Council was held today.
Everything misleading, everything against the law. Everything is
a go-ahead came from the court, sir, to conduct the meeting, and the meeting was conducted. You are calling it invalid.
Without the knowledge of...
You are calling it invalid. Mr. Rajashekaran is calling the majority and its mandate a fringe party. Mr. Rajashekaran, complete your point before I go across Shekhar here for one last comment.
Yes, Swati, see, 2,300, of course, I wouldn't say all were purchased. Majority of them were purchased by Edapadi, and they are not the whole of ADMK. The 2,300 people are not whole of ADMK. See, and accusing O. Pannirselvam for taking side at DMK is really a funny statement from Rajagopalan, because it is the DMK which is now taken the initiative.
Okay, I have to wrap up, but before that, Shekhar Iyer, last word to you, and a very quick question in terms of, you know, this personality factor that we see in politics of Tamil Nadu. On one side is MK Stalin, on the other side, of course, now with the majority is EPS. Does he have that kind of impact?
Well, EPS has managed, you know, if you look at the last few years or months, you know, before the assembly elections last year, EPS managed to put up, I would say, a good show by ADMK. And the other thing is, you see, today Tamil Nadu doesn't have any personalities like Jayalalitha or Karunanidhi or MGR. This is a new era in Tamil Nadu politics where you will have to carry the rank and file with you. And you'll have to place before people, you know, alternatives. You'll have to place before people the issues of governance. So therefore, I think OPS is, I'm afraid, is now history. Swati.
Okay. OPS is history, says Shekhar Iyer. Mr. Rajashekharan believes that the majority is a fringe party. Well, let's see how developments take place in Tamil Nadu, since OPS has said he's going to challenge this expulsion in the court. Let's see how it plays out as far as the legal developments are concerned. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Mr. Rajagopalan will continue with us for debate number 2. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Moving on now, on World Population Day, India is projected by the United Nations to surpass China as the most populous country by 2023. As talk of population control started amid alarm bells, the politics also predictably did. Speaking on the occasion of World Population Day, Yogi Adityanath expressed concerns over the demographic imbalance in communities. He said that population imbalance in some communities is leading to chaos. He asserted that steps should be taken so that challenges of demographic imbalance shouldn't arise. Listen.
तो हमें इस बात को ध्यान में रखना होगा कि जनसंख्या नियंत्रण का कार्यक्रम सफलतापूर्वक आगे बढ़े, लेकिन जनसांख्यिकी असंतुलन की स्थिति भी न पैदा होने पाए। ऐसा नहीं कि किसी वर्ग की आबादी बढ़ने की स्पीड, उनका प्रतिशत ज्यादा हो और कुछ जो मूल निवासी हो, उन लोगों की आबादी के स्थिरीकरण में हम लोग जागरूकता के माध्यम से, इन्फोर्समेंट के माध्यम से उसको नियंत्रित करके जनसंख्या संतुलन की स्थिति पैदा करें।
Union Minister Giriraj Singh too stepped up demand seeking a law to control population explosion. He says India has very limited resources to satisfy the rapidly increasing population. Listen in to the arguments.
हमारे पास जमीन पूरी दुनिया का बस 4% से भी कम है। पानी नहीं है। जब पानी नहीं है, जमीन नहीं है, तो आज जरूरत है भारत के अंदर एक ऐसा कड़ा कानून बने जो हिंदू, मुसलमान, सिख, ईसाई, जैन, बौद्ध कोई धर्म को पालन करने वाले हों।
ये भारत के हर जागरूक विषय है, क्योंकि इसके साथ हम सबका भविष्य, सबका विकास। तो निश्चित रूप से इसमें सामान्य से लेके राजनीतिक दलों को दलगत राजनीति से ऊपर एक सही दिशा में कदम बढ़ाना चाहिए।
But why is there a need to keep the population under control? Let's decode why this is the need of the hour for India. Reason number 1, 60% of Indians below World Bank's poverty line of $3.2 per day. Reason number 2, less than 50% of India's population has access to drinking water as per the UNICEF. Reason number 3, 195 million people in India are undernourished as per the UN. Reason number 4, 47 million children, which means 4 out of 10 are undernourished. Reason number 5, 73.9 million Indians are at risk from hunger by 2030. But the opposition and the hardliners reject the population explosion crisis. The opposition in fact says that this is just a lie which is being spread to divide people.
So this is just to polarize the society. And again I said that if they move the bill, no problem, but at the same time, where is the need?
It is their divisive rule, divisive policy of the BJP, and we all know that what is their motive behind that.
पर प्रभावी नियंत्रण पर बात देश के संविधान के दायरे में होनी चाहिए और देश का संविधान भारत के प्रत्येक नागरिक को समानता का अधिकार देता है, प्रत्येक नागरिक से किसी भी प्रकार के भेदभाव को निषेध करता है।
सवाल तो ये पैदा होता है कि चाइना इतनी बड़ी आबादी के बाद भी बहुत चीजों में भारत से आगे क्यों है। हर एक क्राइटेरिया देखिएगा तो चाइना आफ्टर बीइंग अ हाईएस्ट पॉपुलेटेड कंट्री स्टिल ही इन सेवरल एजेंडाज में वो भारत से आगे।
किसके क्या बच्चा पैदा होगा या नहीं होगा, ये सारे इख्तियारात अल्लाह ताला को हासिल हैं, इसमें बंदे का कोई अमल दखल नहीं है। तो ये शरई और मजहबी मामला है। इस सिलसिले में किसी मुसलमान से मैं ये नहीं कह सकता कि वो जनसंख्या पर नियंत्रण करे।
It's also very important to note that while the overall population growth between 2001 and 2011 has grown by 17.7%, there are 12 states and 2 union territories where it has breached this mark. Several states, in fact, where the growth is above the national average, which is 17.7%. Let's open this up and go across to our guests. We're joined by Dr. Kaushal Mishra, spokesperson of UP BJP. We have R. Rajagopalan, he continues to be with us. Ishkaran Bhandari, a lawyer, joins us on the panel. We have suspended Congress leader Sanjay Jha on the broadcast as well, and Abbas Haider, national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. I want to begin with you, Mr. Haider. Isn't population explosion the biggest concern, and stabilizing it the need of the hour for India? What is communal? What is communal about it?
See, the population control is an issue which society should work upon, and government can create laws, government can incentivize the people to control the population. But here what is happening in Uttar Pradesh today, what UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath ji was pointing, he was pointing to a particular community, which is totally wrong. And I'll also tell you that it is far from reality. The reality is from 1992 to 2015, according to a survey, the population, the fertility of the community Chief Minister of UP was pointing out declined from 4.2% to 2.6%. This is a reality. Now things are getting under control, but Bharatiya Janata Party want to politicize every issue. They want to make every issue, they want to use every issue as a tool for their political benefit. This is the question. Now if they, I think last year in September, Bharatiya Janata Party Law Commission,
because the Chief Minister did not name any particular community. He spoke about a demographic imbalance, and he spoke about the need to stabilize it.
See, as far as the reality, as far as the surveys, as far as the data is concerned, there have been no demographic imbalances in the country from 1947 till the last census. So this is far from reality. He was just trying to make this issue a political issue for his benefit.
Mr. Haider, since you spoke about the Muslim population, we are also playing out data in terms of the growth, and still, it is higher than other communities as far as the Muslim community is concerned. Since you raised a question specifically about the Muslim community, take a look. There has been a dip as far as the growth is concerned. There has been a dip, but
I did not. It is still more than other communities. I have not named any community. I have not named any community. I am telling the community Chief Minister was pointing out. I was telling a data which is available everywhere. Now this is a reality that there has been decline in the fertility rate of that particular community. In fact, all the community. This is a reality. Now, if Uttar Pradesh government has not presented any data how to control population, what measures they have taken in 5 years, what contraceptive measures they have taken to control the population in that state, they have not issued any data. All the data they have issued is before 2017, when they were not in power. So first UP government should issue data, what measures they have taken till now, and then they should come up with such things. And the bill which was uploaded on the website.
Okay, sir, let Kaushal Kant Mishra come in.
What was uploaded on the website?
Let Mr. Mishra come in.
No discussion on that.
Let Mr. Mishra come in. Let Mr. Mishra come in, please. Go ahead.
पहले तो जो मेरे दोस्त ने बोला कि कोई डेटा अवेलेबल नहीं है, तो मैं कुछ डेटा बताना चाहूंगा जिसको बड़े ध्यान से सुनना चाहिए। अकॉर्डिंग टू एक हमारे मिस्टर ओवैसी की पार्टी के स्पोक्स पर्सन थे, उन्होंने अभी 1951 का डेटा दिया जिसमें एक मिनट सर प्लीज
एक बार प्लीज उनको अपनी बात रखने दीजिए सर, प्लीज इंटरप्ट मत कीजिए। नहीं इंटरप्ट मत कीजिए, उनको अपनी बात रखने दीजिए पहले।
आप
नहीं मुझे मिस कोट कर रहे थे इसलिए मैं करेक्ट कर रहा हूं। आई नेवर डिस्टर्ब एनीवन, सॉरी।
अरे इन टोटल आप ये कहना चाहते हैं कि हिंदुस्तान में और उत्तर प्रदेश में मुस्लिमों का ग्रोथ रेट कभी हिंदुओं के ग्रोथ रेट से ज्यादा नहीं रहा। मैं उसके कुछ डेटा दे देता हूं आपको, ठीक है। जब 1951 में जब देश आजाद हुआ तो उस समय 4 करोड़ मुसलमान थे पूरे हिंदुस्तान में, जिसमें कि जम्मू कश्मीर असम इंक्लूडेड नहीं था, और आज 18 करोड़ हो चुके हैं। इससे आप पता लगा सकते हैं कि कितने % ग्रोथ रेट है। और कुछ डेटा दे देता हूं आपको, एक हजारिका कमेटी की रिपोर्ट आई थी, उसके अकॉर्डिंग इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद से जो हिंदुओं का ग्रोथ रेट है वो घटे हैं 4.27% से, और मुस्लिमों का ग्रोथ रेट बढ़ा है 4.48% से, यानी इम्बैलेंस करीब 9% से हो रहा है। तो प्लीज जो बोलिए कम से कम पढ़ के आइए और सही डेटा कोट कीजिए। और यहां की बात नहीं है, अगर आप पूरे देश का एक बार देख लेते हैं तो जेवियर एंड भट्ट की रिपोर्ट यह कहती है कि बिफोर इंडिपेंडेंस मुस्लिम पॉपुलेशन का जो ग्रोथ रेट था वो 10% था, और जबकि आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस ये ग्रोथ रेट 25 से 30% बढ़ गया। ये सारे साइंटिफिक डेटा हैं। आपने चूंकि ये बात की कम्युनिटी की, तब मैंने ये डेटा पेश किया, अदरवाइज हमारा कोई इरादा नहीं है। क्योंकि हमें लगता है कि देश के डेवलपमेंट के लिए पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल की पॉलिसी आज से नहीं है, इंदिरा गांधी लाई थी।
पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल मेजर्स की बात उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार नहीं कर रही है, या इसको लेकर के क्या मेजर्स उन्होंने लिए हैं। आई एम जस्ट अपडेटिंग यू दैट द गवर्नमेंट एक्चुअली केम अप विद अ ड्राफ्ट बिल। उन्होंने कहा कि हम एक कमिटी फॉर्म करेंगे, कंसल्टेटिव प्रोसेस होगा, जिसमें जो मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी के लोग हैं उनसे भी बात की जाएगी, उनका भी ओपिनियन लिया जाएगा। एंड दिस कमिटी विल गो टू ऑल द डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स विद अ स्पेशल फोकस विद डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स वेयर द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ मुस्लिम्स इज मोर देन 25%। तो ये कंसल्टेटिव प्रोसेस की बात उन्होंने की। हाउ इज इट टारगेटिंग वन पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी?
No, this is what I am saying, that has any Muslim leader opposed this bill as of now? Has anything going wrong? No, the problem is why did UB Chief Minister need to point out on a particular community? And what people are saying, मैं जो कोट कर रहा था, मैं जो डेटा कोट कर रहा था, that was of National Health Family Survey।
आप नहीं कह सकते मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी से कि बर्थ कंट्रोल मेजर्स लें। ऐसे कई सारे रिएक्शंस आए सर।
मैं कह रहा हूं, आप साक्षी महाराज जी के स्टेटमेंट को भी तो देखिए। व्हाट he has said in 2015 that every Hindu women must produce 4 kids. What does he mean?
Whenever if at all this law comes, first of all if at all this law comes, then whenever it comes, Abbas Haider, ये सभी के लिए आएगा ना?
Now we should
ये सभी के लिए आएगा। How will that be targeting one particular community?
सबके लिए
Will that not be enforced? Will that not be enforced on everybody?
That UP Chief Minister had to point out on a particular community. Why has he need to point
demographic
out
imbalance की बात उन्होंने की। Demographic imbalance की बात उन्होंने की। The data shows the demographic imbalance. Demographic imbalance की बात वो कर रहे हैं। Data demographic imbalance दिखा रहा।
I was quoting National Family Health Survey and census-based data. That data says that from 1992 to 2015, Muslim population
का ज्यादा है as compared to Hindu
has declined from 4.4% to 2.6%.
नहीं, आप सेंसस को नहीं मानते क्या? सेंसस को आप नहीं मानते क्या अब्बास हैदर? Okay, I want to bring in other panelists as well. I want to bring in other panelists as well. Let me bring in Mr. Rajgopalan. Mr. Rajgopalan, are we actually diverting attention from the actual issue here, which is population explosion, and ways that India needs to come up with for a solution to that, to control population? First of all, can we have a law on population control? Can this be enforced on people?
Swati, I want to make 3 quick points and end my argument. 2023, we are going to have a census. The coming year is going to be census, and Mr. Amit Shah has gone on record. It is going to be e-census. Even that will be objected by one of our panelists. Wait and see. Once that e-census comes, one particular community will make a song and drama out of it. Apart from this second point, Parliament delimitation is to be implemented in 2031. Now presently we are having 543 Lok Sabha MPs. Will Samajwadi Party, will Congress, will CPM, will opposition party agree for a delimitation? Because if they objected to the democratic imbalance, what Mr. Yogi Adityanath has enunciated today, that means they are objecting delimitation, that means they are objecting census. Apart from that, last my quick point is, आज मुझे समझ में आता है योगी आदित्यनाथ ने जो डेमोक्रेटिक इम्बैलेंस का कहा, योगी आदित्यनाथ खुद नहीं बोल रहे थे, वो 1975 संजय गांधी का स्पीच रिपीट कर रहे थे। उसको क्या जवाब देंगे? 1975 तुर्कमान गेट याद होगा? 45 साल पहले सेम थिंग था। मैं तुर्कमान गेट में सामने जा करके देखा था, संजय गांधी का छोटा रिपोर्टर थे उस टाइम पर। नाउ Yogi Adityanath is reflecting what Sanjay Gandhi said, Indira Gandhi said,
okay, but
Rahul Gandhi's
Dr.
grand
Mishra,
Kakaji.
Okay, but Dr. Mishra, according to the census, जो अब्बास हैदर भी पहले कह रहे थे 2001 and 2011, अगर ड्रॉप या डिप इन पॉपुलेशन में बात करूं तो हिंदू पॉपुलेशन में 3.1% का ड्रॉप या डिप देखा गया, मुस्लिम पॉपुलेशन में 4.7% का ड्रॉप देखा गया। तो ये जो बातें कही जा रही हैं बिना कहे, जो एक तरीके से कम्युनिटी आ रही है, टारगेट कह लीजिए या अंडर स्कैनर आ रही है, aren't these apprehensions unwarranted?
देखिए, योगी जी ने किसी कम्युनिटी का नाम नहीं लिया। जब आज पॉपुलेशन डे था और उस पर अगर कोई बात कही गई कि अगर पॉपुलेशन एक सोशल समस्या है, सामाजिक समस्या है, उसको कम्युनल चश्मे से देखने की कौन कोशिश कर रहा है? हमने तो नहीं देखा, योगी जी ने भी नहीं कहा। जबकि सच्चर कमेटी एक तरफ कहती है कि सबसे ज्यादा इलिटरेसी उनमें है, सबसे ज्यादा पॉवर्टी उसमें है, सबसे ज्यादा इन्फेंट मोर्टेलिटी रेट उसमें है, सबसे ज्यादा एनीमिया का रिस्क फीमेल में उनमें है, तो अगर उनमें ये सब चीजें ज्यादा है तो उनको इन चीजों को ज्यादा समझना पड़ेगा, पॉपुलेशन को अवेयर करना पड़ेगा। यहां पे देश के पूरे अपलिफ्टमेंट की बात की जा रही है जिसमें हिंदू मुसलमान देख करके नहीं बोला जा रहा, पर यहां पे जो शुरू से होता आया है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी कुछ भी देश के लिए करती है,
कि लॉ लाइए,
तुष्टीकरण के लिए कहा जाता है।
कोर्ट को आपकी सरकार, सुप्रीम कोर्ट को आपकी सरकार कह चुकी है कि पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल पॉलिसी की जरूरत भारत को नहीं है। आई वांट टू ब्रिंग इन संजय झा नाउ। संजय झा, कैन वी हैव अ पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल पॉलिसी in terms of a law being enforced on the people, or will it have to be done in terms of, you know, awareness only?
No, Swati, if you look at the crucial data point, which is the fertility rate, you see that actually India's population control through, you know, democratic persuasion, through the Hum Do Hamare Do campaign, which was basically an effort to say, listen, this has to be voluntary, it has to be participative, and you know that is what really works. And it has been successful. If you look at India's fertility rate today, it's at 3. And the Muslim fertility rate has now come down to 3.4, and it is coming closer to the national average. So what the BJP and the RSS do is their typical vicious, vitriolic, divisive propaganda. Let me ignore that. But let me tell you the larger point. You can't have the cake and eat it too. You know, we go to Davos, the prime ministers of India have spoken at various international forums, and we sell the demographic dividend story. What is the demographic dividend story? That you got a very strong supply of talented workforce that can meet not just domestic demand but global requirements. And look at the problem that India has. That is the real issue the BJP should be focusing on, where there have been totally a monumental, disastrous performance. Look at the data. Only 43% of India's working age population today is employed. The number of women in the labor participation force is at its lowest, which means people are not even trying to look for jobs. Now, if you don't address your fundamental economic problems, you will go down and create, you know, talk of population. Sure, nobody wants a population that you cannot feed or take care of. All your data on malnourishment, etc. is justified. But the truth is, India's economy under this government of BJP has been substandard, has been subpar. It hasn't delivered. You haven't created the jobs. Look at the joke of the BJP, Swati, by one last line. Mr. Modi talks about creating 10 lakh government jobs. And this is the same party that came to power and promised the people of India 160 million jobs by now. This is the problem. We are missing the woods for the trees.
Yes. Firstly, obviously the government can bring the law.
It can have incentives, disincentives if you have X number of kids. That is obviously possible. It's well within the realm and competence of the parliament to bring such a law. Second part, do we need such a law? The answer is very simple. We are the 7th largest country. I believe we are already the largest population in the world. We are already reaching that, and it's unsustainable. There is a limit beyond which you can't go. Third point, those who say that demography doesn't matter. Please read history. What was the reason for partition? Religious majority in particular area will go to one country. Religious majority in another area will go to one country. That is not prehistoric. That is what we and our grandparents have lived through. So please let us not have debates with our eyes closed. Demography does matter. What laws can we bring in India? They have to be uniform laws. So it cannot target any community. It has to be a law applicable to everybody. But it's disingenuous to say demography does not matter.
All right, Ishkaran Bhandari, I'll take that as closing comments because I'm completely out of time. As far as this debate is concerned, the opposition believes there's a Sanghi ploy. The opposition sees a communal angle in it when it comes to population control. The demand coming in from union ministers as well that there should be a law to stabilize population, to control population. But there is no clarity as far as the stand of the government is concerned. Yes, it told the Supreme Court there's no need at this point of time for a population control policy as far as India is concerned. Taking a quick break, thanking all the guests for joining us on the panel. Thank you very much.
आदर रखो।
Russian and speak the Russian language. Pro-Russia separatist groups have been leading an insurgency in the region since 2014.
Look at the top stories of the day.
Joining a slew of other parties, the Telugu Desam party has announced support to NDA's presidential candidate Draupadi Murmu. TDP chief Chandrababu Naidu announced this at a meeting of the party's strategy committee. The IMD has issued alerts in Telangana, Mumbai, Goa and Karnataka. With the onset of monsoon, several states across the country are witnessing flood-like situations amid heavy rainfall. Lok Insan Party chief and former MLA Simarjeet Singh Bain surrendered before a court in connection with the rape case. The case was registered against Bain's and his two brothers on July 16 last year on the directions of a local court.
Now, India is getting a new parliament building soon. A new building for new India, for a glorious future. But we cannot forget our roots. So our national emblem is now adorning this mega structure. It took over 100 artisans and craftsmen from various parts of the country to actually come together, chisel it, working tirelessly for 9 months. The mammoth statue was inaugurated today by the Prime Minister. Just one pull of the lever unveiled the emblem cast at the top of the central foyer of the new Parliament building. The all-bronze emblem, along with its supporting structure, weighs 16,000 kilograms and truly represents what our Temple of Democracy stands for: by the people, of the people, for the people. The Prime Minister even interacted with the men responsible for making this a reality. He called them Shramjeevis.
अच्छा, आप लोगों को क्या लगता है, इमारत बना रहे हैं कि इतिहास बना रहे हैं? सबको मालूम है, बना रहे हैं। आपको पता है सबको? तो काम करने के लिए उसमें क्या फर्क? मकान बनाते हैं और ये बनाते हैं, तो काम करते समय क्या फर्क होता है? घर वालों को पता है, पूछते होंगे क्या कर रहे हो, कैसा बन रहा है, तो लोग कहते हो यार फोटो तो ले आओ, दिखाओ हमको।
हैं ऐसा करते हैं? आपको राशन मिल जाता है क्या? वो वन राशन वन नेशन कार्ड है, उस कार्ड से मिल जाता है। जी सर। और क्या आपको लगता है कि हाँ हमें यहाँ आए तो ये मन को अच्छा लगा है? सर कौन सा बात बताएं?
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, जैसे कि हम सबकी माँ को कुटिया में गए थे राम भगवान, वैसे हमारे कुटिया माँ आए हैं, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है।
वाह वाह, ये तुम्हारा कुटिया, वाह। का कुटिया सर, मंदिर है सारे। देश के हर गरीब को भी लगना चाहिए उसका कुटिया है। मंदिर, बड़ा बढ़िया बात बताया आप। आपके आने से उत्साह बहुत बड़ा है, और भी उत्साह के साथ काम करें। नहीं, उत्साह तो आप लोगों ने हमारा बढ़ा दिया है सर, और बड़ा है। आप लोगों ने समय पे काम किया है सर, हमें गर्व है इस प्रोजेक्ट पे काम करना सर। तो आप में तो किसी को कोरोना वोरोना की दिक्कत नहीं है? सब नियमों का पालन किए सर। अच्छा, वैक्सीनेशन हो गया सब? दोनों डोज हो गए? बूस्टर डोज भी हो गए? बड़े जागरूक हो। चलिए, मेरी आपको, आपके परिवार के लोगों को बहुत शुभकामनाएं हैं कि आप एक प्रकार से सिर्फ माटी पत्थर का काम नहीं कर रहे, आप देश के गौरव को एक बहुत बड़ी भेंट सौगात देने वाले हैं। जी सर, बड़ा मैंने आपको गर्व होना चाहिए। जी सर, चलिए, बहुत शुभकामनाएं, आपकी मेहनत रंग लाएगी।
However, as usual, the opposition was waiting on its toes to target the Prime Minister, and they used a new emblem to fuel their attack against the PM. For them, this event was making history for all the wrong reasons. A united opposition attacked the Prime Minister and accused him of trampling the Constitution. They tagged him a dictator. Some of them were irked by the fact that they were not invited. Allegations that were met with quick rebuttals from the BJP, who slammed the opposition for criticizing for the sake of it.
See, Prime Minister Modi entire approach to governance is that what he deems right is right. What you say in media, what people on the street says, what young people say, that, or what opposition party says, that is not of importance. He is ruling like a Shahenshah, like a dictator.
The Congress party say that what is the need for a new parliament building and the old one should have been extended or modified. This is the most hypocritical stand that the Congress party can take, but it is not surprising.
The same opposition that is now irked with an invitation not being extended to them must not forget how they opposed the Central Vista project in the first place. From going to court to accusing the centre of wasting thousands of crores on a vanity project, the opposition's criticism of the Central Vista project has been well known. The same project which has the new parliament building as a part of it. The same project that the opposition didn't want in the first place but are now accusing the Prime Minister of hogging the limelight for. So the legitimate question that I want to ask the Newshour tonight is this criticism constructive or compulsive?
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, let's take this across to our guest now. Sanju Verma is national spokesperson of the BJP. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, joining us. Professor Monojit Mandal, spokesperson of the TMC. Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, joining us. Brijmohan Srivastava is the national spokesperson of the NCP. Let me start with Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, is this compulsive or is it constructive? Because virtually the opposition has accused the government of not being democratic, of even killing federalism, one member of parliament or spokesperson said earlier today. Your response to that?
Madhav, first things first, it gives me immense pride as an honest, tax-paying citizen, not merely as the national spokesperson of the BJP, to have seen that photograph where the Prime Minister is standing beside the cast of the national emblem. I want to just quickly add a couple of very pertinent points. Point number 1, the opposition, primarily the likes of Asaduddin Owaisi, have said that by inaugurating the cast of the national emblem, the Prime Minister engaged in a breach of the Constitution. So let me remind to your channel, Mr. Owaisi, and people who stand in solidarity with him in criticizing the Prime Minister, that under Article 74 and under Article 75 of the Constitution, the Prime Minister has enough powers and the prerogative to do what he did today in terms of that inauguration of the national emblem cast was entirely his. Point number 2, there is a section which says that the Speaker should have done the inauguration. To them, my simple response is this. the powers of the Speaker are enshrined under Article 93, 94, 95, 96 of the Constitution, which clearly say that the Speaker's role by and large, by and large, is limited to presiding over the Lok Sabha and monitoring the proceedings of the House. Point number 3, and most importantly this, despite the Supreme Court saying that the Rafale deal is above board, Madhav, what did Rahul Gandhi say? From every rooftop available in the country, Chaukidar Chor hai. Actually, Meenakshi Lekhi had to file
how is that connected to this?
Case against him. I'll quickly come. Democracy khatre mein hai under the Rafale deal. When Modi gave his approval for Covaxin, this is the same Congress, including the likes of Jairam Ramesh, who said that the Modi government is using Indians like guinea pigs. 1 minute. Democracy khatre mein hai. I want to ask one thing. Recently, when Chhattisgarh introduced a new building, they inaugurated a new Vidhan Sabha. Who went to inaugurate the Chhattisgarh Vidhan Sabha building?
Okay.
It was none other than Sonia Gandhi. Now, what constitutional force does Sonia Gandhi have?
All right.
Sonia Gandhi can
All right.
inaugurate.
There are a number of points. You've covered a number of grounds. Sanju Verma, just hold on to your thoughts because there are a number of grounds. We'll have to debate all of those points one by one. I was planning to get all those points through the course of the debate, but let me bring in Tehseen. Since you've raised the issue of what happened in Chhattisgarh, direct question, Tehseen Poonawala, what happened in Chhattisgarh, specifically a point being made here by Sanju Verma saying that Sonia Gandhi went there to inaugurate the new legislature there. Why was the same yardstick not used when it comes to your own ruled states? Please respond.
Namaskar, Madhav. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Namaskar to all the fellow panelists and to all your viewers. The question that is to be raised today is simply this about the Parliament of India. The Parliament of India represents all the states and union territories of India. Shouldn't an invitation at least formally have gone to one MP from each state to be present there today? Because this is the representation of the Union of India. Shouldn't the opposition which was present in Chhattisgarh be present out here today?
All right, I think you've lost that line there with Tehseen. But respond to that. Opposition was present in Chhattisgarh, says Tehseen. Respond to that, Sanju Verma.
You know, Madhav, Tehseen lies to his teeth and brazenly. He has mastered the art. This is the same Tehseen Poonawala, despite the Congress being routed in one fort after the other, had the audacity to be on a show which you were hosting and I was there on the panel and said Congress will win 4 out of the 5 assembly seats. They lost every assembly seat that was fought recently a few months back, including Uttar Pradesh, where they got 2 seats, and Tehseen still feels that Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is the best thing that happened to India after brown bread. So what Tehseen says has very little credibility. My simple point is this. What is unconstitutional, point number 1, about the Prime Minister doing the inauguration of the cast of the national emblem? And have you forgotten, Madhav, that in 2021, the Congress filed one petition after the other against the Central Vista project?
Yes, I'll come to that. But since you made the point of what is unconstitutional, the point being made by the likes of Asduddin Owaisi and other political party leaders is that the Constitution envisages separation of powers. Now, the head of the Parliament is the President, along with the 2 houses of Parliament, and therefore the President was better suited for this inauguration, is the argument that is being made. The Prime Minister is the head of the executive, not of the legislature. That's the point they're making. Sanju Verma.
The Prime Minister, Madhav, our Constitution talks about cooperative federalism. Our Constitution talks about constructive criticism from the other side. Our Constitution also lays down under Article 74 and 75 the executive powers of the Prime Minister, his legislative powers, his foreign policy powers, his powers over the military. You know, Article 75 is sweeping. And I challenge Tehseen Poonawala to tell me which section of Article 75 did Prime Minister Narendra Modi breach or flout in inaugurating the cast of the national emblem today?
Okay, direct question to Tehseen. I'm going to let him take that. Where has any of the constitutional provisions been violated is a direct question. Tehseen, please respond.
Okay, 2 quick questions because I got cut off because of the phone line. Just two things. In the Chhattisgarh issue that Ms. Verma is speaking about, she refused to answer that the entire opposition was present there for the foundation stone. And Mrs. Gandhi was invited. Mrs. Gandhi did not leave. She was invited. She didn't come. It was in 2020. Please don't come up and make up facts out here. Number two, and more important and pertinent point out here is, nothing stops the Prime Minister from inaugurating. Who said, have I said once the Prime Minister cannot inaugurate it? My question is, why is the opposition not there? Because this is a man who believes in I, me, myself. A man who has his pictures on my vaccine certificate believes that it's all about himself. He has the most pictures in the world than any other leader, including Mugabe or Erdogan or Putin.
Why should we not have Narendra Modi's
Is Mrs. Gandhi's photo on your vaccine certificate? What are you talking? On the vaccine certificate? On the vaccine certificate?
Why not? Why not? People like you said that.
No, I don't want the merchant of debt.
Full vaccination of the adult.
Let's be a little careful about our language here. Let me bring in other panelists now. All right, let me quickly bring in some of the other panelists. Professor Monojit Mandal, I'm going to come to both of you, please. There are others who are still waiting for the turn. Professor Monojit Mandal, from being called a complete waste of taxpayer money to being called a vanity project, then it was called Modi Mahal. After all of those choicest epithets being used for the Central Vista and the new Parliament building, now when the opposition comes out to say, opposing it even in Supreme Court, everyone has every right to do so. It does seem a bit odd for the same opposition parties to come out and say, you didn't invite us for the inauguration of this one event or this one project, which was repeatedly challenged and abused by opposition parties for the last couple of years.
No, yeah, thanks for remembering that we are also in the debate. It's not between two persons. One is a spokesperson.
I apologize for keeping you waiting. Sir, please go ahead.
No, I mean, is it because of that? Yeah, I'm representing a party, a very responsible All India Trinamool Congress. So is it because of that the opposition leaders were not invited? Because they criticized at a time when the whole country, the whole world was suffering because of huge COVID surge. We just wanted the government to channel the money from there to the COVID fight and hold it for some time, right? Is because of that only the opposition were not invited? So is it a vindictive, retributive act on the part of the government? And it is also clear when my friend from BJP is invoking the powers of the Constitution, she is making it amply clear that the Prime Minister, because of his powers in the Constitution, he has inaugurated it. Not by the President of the country, not by the Speaker of the Parliament. For God's sake, Parliament belongs to the opposition. That is the convention in this country. This is the first Parliament building in the independent India. The earlier one was structured by the British, all of you know. The entire opposition leaders should have been there. But the fact remains that the Prime Minister believes in period exercises. And not just because of this, but for any other reason, the entire opposition is entirely bulldozed. Why the passing of legislation, very important legislation. Why the was talking about cooperative federalism? My God, Bengal government has been asking for their due money, 98,000 crores on account of GST or rural employment guarantee schemes, everything. Nothing, including income tax revenues. Please, madam, have some...
Sanju, I'm coming to you. I want Anand to come in now. The number of points that have been raised, I want Dr. Anand Raghunathan to respond to several of them. Dr. Anand Raghunathan, simple point being made over here is this, that ultimately in the Parliament, the government, the opposition both have to sit together. Yes, you made a very important point. Let others respond to you on that point. A very important point. I'll come back to you. We still have a lot of time. Why is it that opposition members were not there? Ultimately, the Parliament has to be run by both sides, whether it is opposition, whether it is Treasury. The Parliament belongs to all, as it belongs to all citizens of this country. Dr. Raghunathan.
Yeah, good evening to all my panelists. Look, personally, I think this is making a mountain out of a molehill. There is nothing wrong in the Prime Minister and the Speaker inaugurating the emblem. They've inaugurated just the emblem. I'm sure Rahul Gandhi and others will be present as the leader of the opposition in 2024 when the whole building is inaugurated. Look, they promoted open defecation because they hated Modi's Swachh Bharat. They promoted obesity because they hated Modi's Fit India. They promoted oppressive dress code because they hate Modi's government school uniform guidelines. Modi hatred has transformed the opposition into sociopaths. Let's hope Modi doesn't start promoting pranayam. Ye log to saans lena band kar denge. Very quickly, Rahul, there are, Madhav, I beg your pardon, there are 3 issues here on which the opposition is outraging, and let me clear their doubts on all. Number 1, why was the opposition not invited? Well, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha was there, and so was the Prime Minister. The President was also not there, by the way. What do you want? The roof to be brimming with the entire opposition for just the inauguration of an emblem? Arey bhai, building inaugurate karenge to bula lena sabko. And besides, every session, all they do is rush to the well when unhappy. What if they jump from the roof on a whim? Let me be clear. After a lot of trial and error, Madhav, the BJP has finally mastered the art of blunting all opposition to its decisions. Deliver on what the Congress promised. It is eerie how they have been fulfilling Congress promises one after another, from erecting tallest flagpoles to bullet train, to playing national anthem in cinema halls, to Aadhaar, to GST, to CAA, to farm bills, and to now the new parliament building. Bol Modi ji rahe, shabd Congress ke. Rahul must be saying, jaye to jayega, kare to karega, wah Modi ji wah. New parliament, if you don't know, Madhav, was a Congress idea, touted by Jairam Ramesh. Rahul must be saying, ki bhai, can we at least do something that we have proposed? But the problem is, it was demanded by them back in 2012. Unfortunately, they indulged in so many scams that they ran out of public money. Number 2, very briefly, just 30 seconds. Others are also outraging, especially Owaisi. Why was there a Hindu ceremony and a puja and havan? You know, this is the most illogical of all arguments. Number 1, the world over, things are launched with religio-cultural ceremonies. We launch our fighter planes with ceremonies interesting to all 3 religions. And second, if you don't want Hindu ceremonies, then stop controlling only Hindu temples. Stop leeching billions of only Hindu places of worship. So, you know, let us be very clear. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. It is just the launching or inauguration of an emblem, for heaven's sake. It's not the entire building, for which I'm sure everyone would be invited.
All right, all right. Let me bring in fact, you know, on some of the points that were made by you. Let me bring in back Professor Bhuvanajit Mandal. Professor Bhuvanajit Mandal, the question that is being asked is this, that at the end of the day, and in fact, BJP spokesperson Amit Malviya has tweeted that PM is head of the government to unveil the emblem atop the Parliament building. Now, the Congress had opposed the central vista, but when the Prime Minister has put workers who have in fact given shape to this building, they are being undermined by the opposition. The point is that is there something that prevents the Prime Minister as the head of the government from attending this particular function? That point is being repeatedly asked by the BJP. Please respond to that point.
The Prime Minister of this country is the head of the government, not of the Parliament. The head of the Parliament is, we know, the custodian of the Parliament is the President of India. And the Speaker supervises the proceedings. Everyone knows that. In fact, the Prime Minister is accountable to the Parliament, right? He is accountable to the Parliament, largely to the opposition, who is voicing the people of this country, the will of the opposition at large. It's amply clear that conventionally Parliament belongs to the opposition, because that's the only place where majority of the people would be represented, right? And in terms of number, like 60% of the opposition actually represent themselves through their elected parliamentarians in the Parliament. Only 40%, maybe even less, 33% of the BJP are actually forming the government. It's just that. It's not the question. Please, sir, you every night, sir, you are masquerading as a professor and political analyst.
You know,
please have some courtesy.
Guy, he's a lackey.
Otherwise, you come out in the open saying that you are an...
Okay, one at a time. Gentlemen, one at a time. One at a time. I'm going to come to you. Dr. Rangnath, there is time. There is time. Let him make his point.
Let me call you out.
Okay, let him make his point. Let's not. In fact, let's not make any personal comments. Let's not make any personal comments, either of you gentlemen, please. Let's stick to the debate.
Let Eichmann not get personal. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, let's not get personal. I agree with that comment. Let's not get personal, please. Professor Mandal and Dr. Ranganathan, no personal comments, please, to both of you.
I did not make any personal
Yes. I agree. Let him make his point now. Okay.
But you can't come in between, right? You're factually wrong. Your government could not implement CAA. And recognizing the opposition, not just from the political parties, people at large. In the last, took 3 years, even could not implement CAA. So you must apologize on TV for not doing that. You're talking about CAA, I call you out, right? Come to this point. It's courtesy. What, even in Bengal, today they were supposed to inaugurate the metro station, which was the brainchild of the CM, Chief Minister, once he was the railway minister in 2009. He was invited 12 hours back, and that's too after a lot of criticism.
Okay.
That's the level of...
So the same thing is being done by the centre in the state of West Bengal. That's the response coming in from Professor Mandal. Anand Rangnath, Dr. Anand Rangnath. Yes. Okay, you made your point, sir. Now listen to the response, please.
Yes, can you please mute him out like his fledgling career? Now, listen, I don't get personal, but I don't spare anyone who gets personal. So let me now respond in kind to this
this is
little Eichmann. Now, please be quiet.
This caveat is
Professor Mandal, please be quiet. Little Eichmann,
instruct the producer to
little Eichmann, be quiet.
No comments, no personal comments, please. I'm requesting both of you again. Please, let's not reduce the level of this debate, please.
Audio, right?
It's my request to both of you. No reducing the level of this debate. Let's stick to the facts at hand. No personal comments. Otherwise, I'll have to lower both faders. Dr. Ranganathan, please.
He can't ask you to...
I have told him not to make personal comments, sir. Let us not get into a personal fight, please. We are losing time unnecessarily on this debate. Dr. Ranganathan.
Madam, unless you want to lose time, please mute him out. Because I did not get personal. I hope you understand that. Everyone's watching it live. I'm only responding because he got personal. And number two, as for his ridiculous remark, now again, Madhav, can I please continue? Or
make your point, Dr. Ranganathan, make your point. Please carry on.
You know, you bring these people who just not, So he's saying I should apologize for the CAA not being notified. I am the first one who has blasted this government for not notifying CAA. He does not even have his facts ready. My objection was the fact that the people like this Professor Mandal are objecting to the CAA on moral and ethical grounds.
Okay.
They have no right to do so. And these are the same people who have turned a blind eye to how Calcutta High Court has actually castigated them. Castigated them for the post-poll Bengal violence. That is why I called him Little Eichmann. He turns his eye away. He is the one who's responsible for turning himself away and ignoring the castigation of Calcutta High Court. When Hindu women have been raped, pillaged and ethnically cleansed from Bengal, people like Mandal, they turn a blind eye to this carnage because of political exigency.
Debate is going on.
Okay. Let me now bring in someone else from the opposition. Brijmohan Srivastava is with us. Brijmohan Srivastava of the NCP is with us. Yes, I'm going to bring in Mr. Srivastava. Mr. Srivastava, simple question. The question that is also being asked is that even when opposition parties have had their events, for instance, they have not called in the Prime Minister. For instance, an international conference on Nehru was held in the year 2014, but the Prime Minister was not invited for that. So, I mean, this kind of this has also happened in the past, is all I'm saying, by the side of the opposition as well.
If the government is following the past events, then it's very difficult to discuss. Thing is this, when the Prime Minister is going to Central Vesta project, it is the basic responsibility of the Housing Minister as well as the chairman, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha and the General Secretary of the Secretary General of the Lok Sabha. The government has issued various circular and various order regarding the give the proper response and the respect to the to the Member of Parliament as well as the MLAs. Say for the example, on 11 October 2018 and 15 March 2021, government has given clear-cut order that if anything is happened on the behalf of the Parliament or on behalf of the government, the local Member of Parliament and local MLA should be invited in those programs. When the government is not following that thing, it's a responsibility of the Mr. Hardeep Puri ji and the Secretary General of the Lok Sabha and the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. I know we are having no objection. If the Prime Minister is inaugurating the national emblem, we are having no objection on it. Anybody can be a Prime Minister and anybody can do it. But the thing is this, why we have forgotten the Member of Parliament, why we have forgotten the opposition leader, why we have forgotten the sitting MLAs of the Delhi. This is the issue. And why these people are doing this thing? Simply they want to have a name on that stone. They want to survive for a long.
Okay, you want to carve your name in history. Yeah, Sanju Verma, question for you. You want to carve your name and place in history. That's the allegation coming in. Thereby, you are ignoring opposition. You are ignoring members of parliament. And a question that Professor Mandal has raised, that ultimately the floor of the House in both the houses of parliament is where the government is held accountable, that the ministers, the Prime Minister, all have to answer questions of the opposition on behalf of the public. And in that sense, the Speaker and the Chairman or Deputy Chairman of the Raj Sabha are those who are the custodians of that house. So their question is that isn't it a direct conflict when the Prime Minister is heading such an event and inaugurating it? That's the question. 2-3 questions coming in from their side. Please respond.
Madhav, you know, you have elucidated the questions coming in from the opposition's end very comprehensively. I did not interrupt anyone and I need my time. First and foremost, to the Trinamool Congress, which made an allegation that GST dues have not been paid. In 10 seconds, let me tell Professor Mandal that last year, the government paid GST dues to states to the tune of 2.19 lakh crore, and as we speak, every month, revenue deficit grant of almost 10,000 crores is paid every month to states. Kerala and West Bengal are amongst the top states in terms of getting compensation from the Modi government. So Mr. Mandal needs to educate himself. Point number 2, you know, this whole facade about Narendra Modi not giving due credence and credit to the opposition. अरे पहले एक constructive विपक्ष की तरह behave तो करो. Do you remember, Madhav, that 7th of May is celebrated as Rabindranath Tagore Jayanti with lot of pomp and gaiety all over India, especially in Kolkata. And when last year the Modi government had sent 1 month in advance to Mamata Banerjee and invite, purely driven by hubris, he refused. I did not interrupt you, so please keep quiet.
संजू जी, please.
I did not interrupt you.
आप थोड़ा बताएं विपक्ष को कैसे बिहेव करना चाहिए?
आप पहले जब आपकी बारी आएगी तब
आपने प्रश्न किया, मैं क्वेश्चन कर रहा हूँ, कैसे विपक्ष को कैसे बिहेव करना चाहिए? क्या तालियां बजाएं? विपक्ष क्या करे?
तालियां बजानी है बजाओ. आपकी सरकार महाराष्ट्र में गिर चुकी है, मुंह छुपाओ जाकर. तालियां बजानी है बजाओ, जाकर मुंह छुपाओ.
क्या बजाए विपक्ष?
Okay. No side debates, please. No side debates. No side debates. No side debates, please. No side debates. But I want to ask Tehseen one question. Tehseen Poonawalla.
Let me finish my point.
Yeah, okay. Quickly make your point. 15 seconds. Make your point. Complete your point.
No, I need 30 seconds because you gave enough time to Mr. Mandal. Let me tell you one more thing.
Okay. One second, sir. Let him make a point. We have limited time now. Let him make a point and then we'll come back for a quick response from the opposition. Yes.
Central Vista project, Madhav, was repeatedly criticized by the opposition. It was a bench led by Justice A.M. Khanvilkar of the Supreme Court who finally gave a clearance saying that no laws were broken, neither notification with respect to land use nor environmental clearances. The opposition wanted to ground this project, and today they have the audacity to say, "हमने invitation क्यों नहीं मिला? पहले रोना धोना बंद करो."
Okay. Let me come in now. Tehseen Poonawalla. Now, one second. Now, listen to my question very carefully, Tehseen. In the year 2020, in December, the foundation stone, the original foundation stone of the current building was being laid, and I was incidentally there at that ceremony. At that particular ceremony, there were 2 leaders in both the houses, the opposition leaders, Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad and Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary were invited. The former did not attend because of COVID concerns, the latter because he was busy in his constituency. When this is the track record of what has happened the last time round when there was a foundation stone being laid, if this is the seriousness with which this issue was being looked at that point of time, just a little less than 2 years ago, then, one will also question what is the seriousness and the consistency of opposition parties, including the Congress, who are today questioning the PM and the government.
At the peak of COVID, when people are not crowding, though they had reasons, you are blaming the opposition for not coming at the peak of COVID when we know exactly what happened Jan and in 2021 with the amount of COVID, unfortunate deaths and oxygen shortage that we see. So instead of patting the opposition's back, we are criticizing the opposition. Second, the BJP says, oh, the opposition is opposing Central Vista.
If you were serious about attending these events, they could have attended at that point of time.
Please,
maintain social distancing norms. In fact, Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary was not even in town. He was in his constituency. It was not because of COVID that he didn't attend.
Sir, please allow me to make my points. Sir, I understand. I'm just giving you my points. You can cut me out after I finish.
Okay.
Sir. Please, I'll just take very little time. Number 2, Your question, the question being raised by the BJP is that the opposition is criticizing something. So even if the opposition criticizes, you'll cut the opposition out from this country. Third, the BJP on this channel continuously lied about Chhattisgarh. Not only was the leader of opposition present there, he spoke at that ceremony, and the foundation stone was led by the was laid by the Honorable Chief Minister and the Honorable Speaker. Here the Speaker was not involved. He was sitting behind. The Speaker is the custodian of the House, and the Prime Minister is the government of India. It's the President's government. The President addresses the government as his government. It is sad that the President was not there. The President should have been there, but had the President been there, the Prime Minister would not have got the protocol, because the President would have gone to. Can I please be allowed to speak? I didn't speak.
Yeah, okay, Tehseen, make your point. Let him make his point. Sanju Verma, you didn't want to be interrupted. I stopped them. Please now calm down. Let him make his point. Yeah, okay, let him complete. Tehseen, quickly complete your point. 15 seconds.
My 15 seconds, my point is that yes, I disagree with my friend Dr. Ranganathan. The President of India should have been there because this is his government. The Parliament is answerable ultimately to the President whose government it is, along with the opposition. But here the President wasn't there. Why? Ask and think. Because the President would have got the focus, and in protocol he would have been higher. The Prime Minister cannot take that. Therefore, the same Chhattisgarh was the example Sanju Verma gave, which was the foundations laid by the Chief Minister and Speaker. Here the Speaker was kept behind. This is an insult to the Parliament, an insult to the opposition, and an insult to the people of India. That's the sad part.
All right. It's an insult to the Parliament and to the people of the country. Dr. Ranganathan, respond.
Yes, to my very good friend Tehseen, all I have to say is, as I said, the President wasn't there because it was just the launching or the inauguration of the emblem, not the whole house, Tehseen. If tomorrow there is a canteen being inaugurated and Modi is walking and I say, all right, let me inaugurate the canteen of Parliament House, you'll say, "Arey bhai, hame bulaya nahi, Rahul ko nahi bulaya, canteen inaugurate kar di bina Rahul ke." Please, once the whole Parliament House, the new building is up and running, of course, everybody, no, please don't interrupt. And secondly, I wanted to say, in January 2021...
Sorry, but do you compare the national emblem to a canteen?
No, did I say that? Am I saying that? Did I say that? Tehseen, I don't expect you to say that.
No, but I'm just saying, let Modi ji inaugurate canteens. Who's stopping him? I'm sorry.
Now, one second. In 2021, when Subhash Chandra Bose, when in opposite Victoria Memorial, Madhav, you remember, when Modi and Mamata Didi were on stage, who walked, huffed and puffed and walked off the stage? It was Mamata Didi. So they have a visceral hatred for Modi. They have a visceral hatred for this whole plan. But still they want to be invited. Wo bhi emblem ke uspe. Yaar, chit bhi meri, pat bhi meri. It doesn't work like that, yaar. You have to, and can I please ask Tehseen, jate, how long did it take for Ms. Sonia Gandhi to meet President Kovind after he was elected as the president? Tell me, Tehseen, straight question to you.
Quick response from Tehseen.
But how is that important? So, the opposition, the leaders of opposition from the Congress have been meeting the Honorable President. There's nothing, that's not important. Why should Mrs. Gandhi? Why do you want validation from Mrs. Gandhi?
Okay, that's an irrelevant point you're making, Dr. Ranganathan. Completely irrelevant to this debate.
Now, Madhav, only 10 seconds and I will prove Tehseen wrong. When they are making such hue and cry about an emblem being inaugurated and them not invited, here is Ms. Sonia Gandhi, who was the leader at that point of time of the largest party or Congress's opposition party, did not even meet Mr. Kovind for possibly a year after he was inaugurated as the president. और यहाँ ये emblem के पीछे पड़े हुए.
Okay.
So you see the difference now, I hope.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen. Completely out of time on this debate. Sanju Verma, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, Professor Manojit Mandal, Tehseen Poonawalla and Brijmohan Srivastav. Clearly we haven't heard the last word yet as far as politics over the new Parliament building or Central Vista is concerned, but certainly politics on a day when our national symbol was erected atop the central foyer of the new Parliament building. This should have been a day where all Indians should certainly have been very proud of. Unfortunately, this event too has been politicized. We're just going to leave it there for the moment and move on to debate number 2. Now, the previous decade witnessed the rise of a cricketer whose sheer zeal, passion, aggression and hunger to score runs propelled him to the summit of a sport which is admired and enjoyed by over 1 billion people in India and world over. He was crowned as King Kohli by fans, commentators and his teammates. His relentless quest for greatness helped him push the run-scoring ceiling to an unprecedented level. The stylish right-handed batter amassed a tally of 20,960 runs between 2010 and 2019 at a staggering average. In the same period, the former Indian captain notched 69 centuries, and his ability to convert 50s into hundreds amazed the historians of the game. And after dominating the sport, destroying world-class bowling attacks for a decade, Kohli finally hit a lean patch, which is now stretched to an extent wherein the swashbuckling batter seems like a mere shadow of himself while taking guard at the crease. His last century came in 2019 in the pink ball test versus Bangladesh at the Eden Gardens Stadium in Kolkata. Since then, Kohli has failed to score 100 in more than 100 matches. No other great batters of the past have endured a lean patch of this magnitude. The IPL was brutal for Royal Challenger Bangalore's former captain. He was dismissed for a golden duck thrice, while in 9 innings he scored less than 13 runs. He finished the campaign with 341 runs in 16 innings at a dismal average. His form was his strength, but for some, it seems to be now his weakness. Legends have lashed out at Kohli. Referring to Kohli couple, they've questioned the retention of the senior out-of-form players. Legendary pacer Venkatesh Prasad reminded how Sehwag Yuvraj were dropped based due to the bad form. While veterans have stumped Kohli, hitman Rohit Sharma has backed his teammate. Listen in.
देखिए, हमारे लिए तो कोई डिफिकल्ट नहीं है क्योंकि हम बाहर का कुछ सुनते नहीं है और ये एक्सपर्ट लोग मुझे पता नहीं कौन है, एक्सपर्ट क्यों बोला जाता है उनको, मुझे वो नहीं समझ में आता है। नहीं, देखिए वो बाहर से गेम देख रहे हैं, उनको पता नहीं अंदर क्या चल रहा है। हमारा एक कुछ थॉट प्रोसेस है, टीम बनाते हैं हम लोग, उसके पीछे काफ़ी चर्चा होती है, उसके पीछे काफ़ी थिंकिंग होती है, लड़कों को बैक किया जाता है, लड़कों को मौका दिया जाता है, तो ये सब चीज़ बाहर के लोगों को पता नहीं चलती है। अगर आप फॉर्म की बात करते हो, फॉर्म ऊपर नीचे सबका होता है, प्लेयर का क्वालिटी जो है वो कभी खराब नहीं होता है।
So that brings us to the legitimate question that we're asking on debate number 2, and that is Virat Kohli overworked or is he overhyped?
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
All right, and let's take that across to our guests joining us. We're also asking our viewers to call us and express yourselves. What do you think about this latest controversy? What should Virat Kohli be doing? Should he be rested or should he continue playing? And of course, if he continues playing, will he be in top form for the T20 World Cup? That's a question that certainly, of course, we have. Amey Khurasia is with us, former Indian cricketer, Charu Sharma, sports commentator, and Chandresh Narayan is an author and sports broadcaster joining us. Let me begin with a cricketer on the panel. Amey Khurasia, where do you stand on this, and what do you believe that should be done as far as Virat Kohli is concerned? Even, for instance, his staunchest supporters like Ravi Shastri have come out to say that he's really being overworked and that to avoid his brains from being fried, as Ravi Shastri put it, he should be rested. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I do think so, because though I understand that even the best of the sportsmen, some dark days do encompass their brightest of the performances in the past, but here the dark days have been few years, and there's a slump in his performance, and he has been not that prolific Kohli that we have known from last few years, and we have to understand that it is the consistency which gives them the distinction, but add into that consistency, it is inconsistency which gives them the dissection, and when you dissect the grades, the wound is quite deeper, and that's what is happening. And the game is so cruel that it dismantles the legends also, and I think he must be understanding this himself. And I think way back when I did a program last year, I always felt that Brother Kohli should stop playing T20s, because here is a cricketer who can score 100 centuries for India,
right,
in Test cricket and one day put together. So, to my opinion, yes, he is not lacking in anything. See, the plausible reasons that we go for, we can see stamina, strength, enthusiasm, courage, raw physicality. commitment. They are all intact. They are all intact. But
well, absolutely. That doesn't change the legend. That doesn't change the cricketer that he is. And please stay with us. I'm requesting all you gentlemen to stay with us. We have some of our viewers joining us on the phone line now. With us is O.P. Swaminathan. Yes, Mr. Swaminathan. What do you think should Virat Kohli be doing at the moment? I think we've lost that line with Mr. Swaminathan. I'm going to go across to Mr. Shankapani. Yes, Mr. Shankapani from Chennai.
Yeah, I feel Virat Kohli should be probably given a break. What Kapil Dev says is truly right. The form really makes the matter at this point of time, and will also do good for a player like Virat to extend his career in international cricket.
Okay, thanks so much for joining us, Mr. Shankapani. Moving on to K. Rajendran, who's also with us on the phone line. Yes, Mr. Rajendran.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I think at this point of time, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Hello. Yeah. At this point of time, we should not be discussing whether Kohli should play or not. Why? Because it is a totally purely administrative matter which lies with the BCCI. Okay, the eminent cricketers or anybody are free to comment on whether he should be selected or not. But ultimately, the right of selection is leaves with the selection committee. So probably it is not right for other people to interfere. Okay, they can make a comment as an expert,
Yeah, absolutely, sir. The last I heard, it was a democracy. People are free to have their own opinions, whether they agree or disagree. But thanks so much for joining us with your view. Another viewer is with us, Mohit Bhatia. Yes, Mohit.
Hello. I have a different perspective on the matter. My view is that, and I restrict my comment only to T20 of all the three formats.
Right.
T20 based on the IPL format, which is so very strong and a very global format, and basis which there are so many young people. Forget the class. I don't think they would be anywhere classy if compared to Kohli, etc. But based on their form, based on their scores, they are given a chance. I would say in India there are about 50 such people who are playing, or vying for a spot in the 11. So
right.
Even if, and I'm speaking again for T20, if
right.
it is very clear that this format I'm talking of is T20, of the top 50 in the country, the best 15 should play.
Yes.
So there is nothing based on, class. He may be classy, and this has happened to and players.
Yes,
finally,
but the best have also been dropped. That's the point that's being made, and let me bring in Charu on that point. Charu, it should only be about merit, and that should be the brutally implemented rule. It should only be about the numbers and the performance. That's the view of this viewer as well, and that's pretty much what several of the top cricketers, including Kapil Dev and others, including Jadeja, etc., have mentioned. Your views on this?
Yeah, well, it's all very nice to be simplistic, but I'm afraid many things go into this pot, this selection pot of who should play, who shouldn't. We are the kind of country, that we are, and we do give an enormous amount of respect to those who achieved in the past, or perhaps only recently on a losing run. I have no doubt in my mind that the current cricketers will particularly say that Kohli should never be dropped unless... Well, all right, let me cut through all of this. I think it's a process of communication, which is the key. Now, Rohit was right, and you played out that clip about knowing who's doing what, and they have many meetings. There's a lot of thought that goes into who should be playing, who shouldn't be, and no team wants to lose. No selector wants to choose a losing team. No captain would like to accept a losing team or somebody who's not worth it. Obviously, there's still enormous respect for Kohli's ability. And everyone's hoping that if he can find some kind of form, he is going to be a match winner once again. Now, it sounds very rough on those who are vying for a spot, those who are hungry, many others. The gentleman said 50 players, and I quite agree. There are so many who are in line. But if this communication channel is open between the board, the selectors, Kohli, and the current team, then I'm sure they would work it out saying, what do you think, Kohli? The kind of respect we give in our country to those who are supreme achievers, there's nothing horribly wrong in it, because so many people have been in the past sacked because of this lack of communication. They've all handled it very badly. This communication is the key. If Kohli feels that he's okay for it, and Sharma and gang and the selectors feel he's still got what it takes, then please go ahead.
Okay.
It's a very difficult thing to be a selector or an umpire because you can
Sure. We can only imagine the kind of pressure that each of those roles
country.
has, and the kind of difficulties that each of those players faces, because a huge amount of pressure from every side. But I want to bring in Chandresh Narayan on one of the points that you made. Chandresh Narayan, one thing that many would be thinking about is the fact that with the pressure of being captain no longer on Kohli, one would have imagined that he would be able to focus more time on the game, on his batting, for instance, and other aspects. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be happening. Why do you think that's the case?
Hi, Madhav. Great to be connected after a long time. The thing is, the day Kohli surrendered his captaincy, that day he surrendered his right to a place in the T20 squad by right. By which I mean that he couldn't have walked in the T20 squad by right, which he was doing earlier as the captain, because now the spotlight on him would have been that much more, because he's no longer the captain, and the talk of new template, and you saw how India batted yesterday, especially Surya Kumar Yadav, and how India batted throughout this run of T20 matches that India has played over the last 1.5 months. India has adopted a new template in playing T20 cricket, and I think that Kohli somewhere is not able to adjust to this new template that India has adopted in the T20 format. And also, I think that when you are not in form, and Ame Kuresia is here, he's a better judge on that. When you're not in form, the T20 format is the harshest format for a cricketer to get back into form, because you have 5 to 6 balls at the most, and in the case of Dinesh Karthik, even lesser, because they expect him to come and play runs from the 18th and 19th over.
Right.
So I think that right now T20 format is the toughest format for him to come back into form, and I think more than anything else, he needs to realize whether this is a format that he wants to continue playing, because ODI and Test cricket, nobody has a question about him. But in the T20 format, it's very tough for him to get back into form. Also remember, Joe Root, one of the world's best batsmen right now, the best Test batsman right now, can't find a place in England's T20 lineup. But there's no hullabaloo in England, because there's clear communication, like Charu said, between Joe Root and the English selectors, between English Cricket Board and the English cricket system or the ecosystem. We need similar communication, not just with Kohli, but with all of us. And then all of us so-called experts, like
I think that's a very important point, and that's a very valid point as well, and certainly I hope our cricket administrators are taking note of the same. But let's quickly go across to some more of our viewers who are joining us at the moment. Ajay is with us from Bangalore. Yes, Ajay, your views on Virat continuing?
Yeah, there is no doubt that Virat Kohli is one of the best batsmen. And he has contributed immensely to Indian cricket. But the fact of the matter is that he is today completely out of form. Whether it is Test cricket, whether it is ODI, whether it is T20, he is completely out of form. And here he is being defended by somebody who himself is out of form, the Indian captain, who is mostly unfit during crucial Test matches. He drops out of crucial series, and he himself is unavailable during crucial Test series. So the selectors probably need to tell Kohli to go back to domestic cricket, come back to form, and then rejoin the Indian team. It's no use playing him when he's not getting the runs for the team.
All right, thanks so much for joining us, Ajay, with your views. Mr. Swaminathan is with us from Mumbai. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Swaminathan. From Bengaluru, I beg your pardon. Go ahead.
Hello, Madhav.
Yes.
You see, he's one of the greatest players. Kohli is one of the greatest players, but he's now totally out of form. And Rohit Sharma is supporting him, because if Kohli is axed for non-performance, Rohit Sharma also has to be axed. So now they have to fight, and with such a huge bench strength, this is the right time to replace Kohli, and you get hardly 1 or 2 balls to come to the form. He is totally not in form, and he has to be fitted, removed, and then you cannot have different rules. You name the person and tell you the rule. It is time for him to opt out instead of being kicked out.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Prasid is our next viewer joining us from Bengaluru. Yes, Prasid.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Madhav. See, what I say is, yes, I agree with few of the people, but see, he's the greatest player. What I would tell is he can be rested for a couple of series. World Cup is, it's a very important series which we need to win. India need to win. as an RCB fan, yes, I would like to see him back in form. But yeah, definitely a rest, and playing against this Ireland was very important. Actually, he could have come in form with the Ireland's T20 matches. And he missed out in those things. I think that would have been a very good series which you could have played, actually.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thanks so much for joining us. Proceed with your views. Anirban is with us from Delhi. Yes, Anirban. Where do you think Virat Kohli is headed and what should be done?
Hi, Madhav. Good evening to the panel. I also agree that he's one of the best cricketers in the modern times. But we'll have to see, the recent, opportunities that are there, that is in line. In fact, the World Cup T20 series is upcoming. So we'll have to plan, to plan out the best 15, we'll have to now plan it from right now. And I don't see him at this current moment he is anywhere featuring in the top 15. Forget about anything else. Just erase all the images of the players, and you just fit in the top 15 or top 20. Does he feature either? That's my limited point.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Let me now take this back to our guests who are with us. Amit Khurasia, many are comparing this to past experiences of many greats. Even, one of the greatest players of all time, Sachin Tendulkar, had a rough patch in the early 2000s. And, we remember that entire episode where he had to wear an elbow band, so on and so forth. So it's not like Virat Kohli is the only one. There have been others who've had these difficulties in the past. So it's perhaps pretty much normal. And he could very much bounce out of this poor form as well.
Yeah, he can. But the point is, the most important point is that you can always choose him for one days and test matches and continue over there. In T20s, as one of your viewers said that over the phone, that it is very difficult to come in form because you have got less number of balls to play and there is a pressure always on your head to perform, to score runs. And T20 also erodes your technique in a longer run. If you go back to one of your viewers' call where he said that Cook and Root, in fact he said Root, even Cook was not playing T20s for England because he wanted to perform in Test cricket and one days. Not even one days also, he took only Test cricket later on.
Right.
So I think there's a golden chance for somebody like Virat Kohli, where, see, when you're not doing well for a long period, then your confidence just takes a beating.
Right.
Whether you like it or leave it, it happens because you're human. You're bound to go through those thoughts in your mind.
Absolutely.
That perhaps something is not. So at that point of time, you need to have a little break and go for a little thought process where you want to isolate yourself.
Well, perhaps the 2 months before the T20 World Cup would be the perfect opportunity to do that, because many, even against, of course, the advice of several of our esteemed panelists, many would be hoping that Virat is able to get back his form before the T20 World Cup. What will happen, of course, we will have to watch out for. Thanks so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Charu Sharma, Amit Khurasia, Chandresh Narayan, for joining us and discussing what the roadmap ahead for Virat Kohli is.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break.
We have a difficult relationship with China. We're perfectly capable of managing it. somewhere Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems. If I were to take Europe collectively, which has been singularly silent on many things which were happening, for example in Asia, you could ask why would anybody in Asia trust Europe on anything at all? Look, a lot of things are happening outside Europe. We have, partly because of climate change, for a lot of humanitarian, natural disasters, humanitarian responses. In our part of the world today, a lot of people look to us to help out. The days when they expected Europe to come, which Europe did at the 2004 tsunami. The difference today is nobody's even thinking of that anymore. So the world is changing, new players are coming, new capabilities are coming, but a new agenda must come. The world cannot be that Eurocentric as it used to be in the past. We have a difficult relationship with China. We're perfectly capable of managing it. It's if I get global understanding and support, obviously it is of help to me. But this idea that I do a transaction, that I come in one conflict because it will help me in conflict too, that's not how the world works. So a lot of our problems in China have nothing to do with Ukraine, have nothing to do with Russia. They predate it.
At 9.
Joining a slew of other parties, the Telugu Desam party has announced support to NDA's presidential candidate Draupadi Murmu. TDP chief Chandrababu Naidu announced this at a meeting of the party's strategy committee.
You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
The Supreme Court today has validated the findings of the special investigation team that looked into the Gujarat riots of 2002. You represented the SIT in the Supreme Court, which has today given very, very scathing criticism of those who tried to cast aspersions on the SIT's integrity. I want to ask you, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, was this another attempt to somehow cloud the entire investigation process?
There is no doubt, Navika, that this was a motivated attempt to somehow, as the judgment uses the phrase, keep the pot boiling. And in fact, it was a phrase used by me, and the judgment acknowledges that. See, the idea was that to somehow make an attack on high functionaries in various services like the police, like fire services, and also attack the high functionaries of the government the then Chief Minister, the then Home Minister of the state, who are currently the Prime Minister and the Home Minister today, the court has held that this was not only motivated, but this was an abuse of the legal process, because I had argued that this is not really Zakia Jafri who is protesting and keeping this kind of thing boiling, but it was some motivated forces behind her who were using her name, that she was merely a name lender. There were other forces which were behind it to somehow get at the then Chief Minister and other functionaries for their own political or private gains. And the court has validated our stand. And in fact, the SIT has been applauded by the court. It has come out with flying colors for what it did under quote-unquote trying circumstances. And every argument made by me for the SIT has found favor with the court in a thumping judgment of over 450 pages.
Good evening and welcome. Hope you had a good weekend. You're watching the Newshour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. Today, the Prime Minister unveiled the national emblem on the roof of the new Parliament building. Before we get into the fight and the tutu meme that predictably has started over this, let me start with actually telling you what the emblem is all about. The familiar national emblem is going to be a study in being grand. 6.5 meters high and weighing 16,000 kgs. It is fully handcrafted by Indian artisans and is made of high purity bronze. That sheen you see, that's not paint, that's actual bronze which has been polished to that shine, and all of it handcrafted. This is one of its kind depiction of our national emblem anywhere across India. Over 100 artisans worked on this emblem over 6 months to ensure that both timelines and beauty were taken care of. Even the installation of the emblem itself has been a painstaking process, with it being installed 32 meters above upper ground level. The reason why I started by highlighting what went into making the emblem, because I wanted to underline that when you look at the sheer beauty, the workmanship, you would think that the first reaction of everyone to such a symbol of India could variously be pride or at worst indifference. Because after all, this is about the national emblem, not that of any one party or person. But, as is typical, its installation and its unveiling today was met with derision, criticism, and even anger. So what really are the charges that have been leveled? The first charge against the Prime Minister who unveiled the emblem is that he had no business doing it, because it is the Lok Sabha Speaker who should have been given the task as the head of the Lok Sabha. The second charge is that the Prime Minister is behaving like a dictator by steamrolling this project through. Third, that the BJP has been arrogant by not inviting anyone from the opposition to this function and basically killing federalism. And finally, that it's a violation of the Constitution.
See, Prime Minister Modi's entire approach to governance is that what he deems right is right, what you say in media, what people on the street says, what young people say, that or what opposition party says, that is not of importance. He is ruling like a Shahenshah, like a dictator.
The Congress party say that what is the need for a new parliament building and the old one should have been extended or modified. This is the most hypocritical stand that the Congress party can take, but it is not surprising.
So, was there a breach of protocol and propriety in not seeking the opposition party's presence? After all, the Lok Sabha belongs to everyone, not just the party in power, or is this sheer petulance by the same people who at the outset never wanted the entire Central Vista project, leave alone this emblem, to even see the light of day?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us on the debate, Gokul Chandran, political analyst, Dr. Naval Kishore, national spokesperson of the RJD. We'll hopefully be joined by Dr. Shashi Panja, minister in charge of Women and Child Development and Social Welfare of TMC. Tushar Gupta, senior editor, Swarajya. My first question is to you, Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP. Why wasn't the opposition there? Lok Sabha is for everyone. The emblem should have been for everyone.
First of all, thank you, Padmaja, for having me. And this is less about invitation and more about political frustration. See, today is a great day for our Lok Tantra, but those who believe in Parivar Tantra are at it again. Let me address these issues. First of all, you would remember that when the stone breaking ceremony or the ground breaking ceremony took place, the opposition was in fact invited and all of them boycotted that particular event. That is on record. Point number 2, today only the national emblem was being unveiled. The house has not been inaugurated. The Parliament House itself has not been opened up. And obviously at that program, everyone will be invited. But today's program, one other objection was that constitutional protocol wasn't followed. Padmaja, today you had the Prime Minister in the presence of the Lok Sabha Speaker and the Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha unveiling this national emblem. The same thing when it is done in Chhattisgarh, where the Chhattisgarh CM unveils the parliamentary, the legislative building, and the Bhumi Pujan is done, and the chief guest is Sonia Gandhi. That time it is constitutionally kosher, and today it is constitutional impropriety. And then the fourth objection they made was that, look, we don't need a new parliament building. That's what Sandeep Dixit said. Now, these are the same people who advocated for a new parliament building way back in 2012. They made all kinds of allegations. They said all kinds of things about the money being spent on it. They were rejected in High Court and Supreme Court. These sponsored petitions were rejected. They were fined. And today when this entire thing is being taken forward in national interest, you once again have these people playing Rajniti over Rashtaniti. So my limited point is, this is not about invitation at all. They did it on vaccine. They did it on issues like surgical strike, Balakot airstrike. On every issue of importance, let me give you a final example. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Padmaja, is Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav a BJP program? Is it a program to celebrate icons of BJP? But not one single leader of the opposition has, for even courtesy's sake, celebrated Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. You check it out. Ask Gokul Chandran.
Okay, let me actually start by asking Dr. Naval Kishore. Naval Kishore ji, groundbreaking ceremony, boycott. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, boycott. पर यहाँ पे जहाँ पे बुलाया नहीं, यहाँ पे स्पीकर थे, डेप्यूटी चेयरमैन थे, प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे, यहाँ पे इंसल्ट है, बाकी सारी चीजें इंसल्ट नहीं है।
नहीं, क्या जो बातें कही गई हैं पूर्व में, उसका बदला लिया जा रहा है? क्या पार्लियामेंट का जो बिल्डिंग बन रहा है वो भाजपा के पैसे से बन रहा है? क्या वो उनका प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी है जो बन रहा है? दिस नॉट मैटर ऑफ दैट। आप इतना सिंप्लीफिकेशन करके मत बताइए। अगर पार्लियामेंट को बाय डेफिनेशन भी अगर देखेंगे तो लोकसभा, राज्यसभा और प्रेसिडेंट इज इंटीग्रल पार्ट ऑफ इट। अगर कोई फंक्शन होता भी है तो लिव एंड इफ यू टॉक ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, इट मींस गवर्नमेंट प्लस अपोजिशन, रूलिंग पार्टी प्लस अपोजिशन। when you leave out entire opposition in whatsoever circumstances, हमेशा बात रखने की जो परंपरा रही है, जो विपक्ष का बात रखने का परंपरा रहा है, वो पॉइंट बेस्ड रहता है, फैक्चुअल बेस्ड रहता है। आप उसको अगर अपने इज्जत पे लेते हैं, प्रतिष्ठा पे लेते हैं कि हमें ह्यूमिलिएट किया गया, हमारी बात नहीं मानी गई, आई थिंक दैट इज मिसलीडिंग। अगर इसको जोड़कर, जितना जोड़कर शहजाद पूनावाला ने दिखाया, यह दर्शाता है कि जो भाजपा की राष्ट्रनीति और राजनीति है वो दोनों इस तरह का नहीं है जिसको सेलिब्रेट किया जा सके।
डॉक्टर नवल किशोर, ये बताइए, आप कह रहे हैं कि आपको नहीं बुलाना, ह्यूमिलिएट करना है। दिस वाज अ डिलिबरेट अटेम्प्ट टू ह्यूमिलिएट यू।
नहीं, आप जो बात, जिस प्रिटेक्स्ट में आप बात कर रहे हैं कि आपने वहां विरोध किया, यहाँ विरोध किया, वहां बॉयकॉट किया, इसलिए आपको इन्वाइट नहीं करेंगे। व्हाट डज दैट मीन? ये यही बतलाता है कि अगर हमारी बात नहीं मानेंगे ऑन एनी इशू, हम आपको
No, not on any issue, sir. On this issue, I want to ask, when the groundbreaking ceremony happened, why did you boycott it? Was it an attempt to humiliate the Prime Minister or the Parliament at that time, or Central Vista, or the government?
देखो, आप देखो, जिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, जिस पृष्ठभूमि में ये बात कही जा रही थी, उस समय प्रायोरिटी, उस समय पूरा देश एक पैंडेमिक से दौर से गुजर रहा था। उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कहा जा रहा था कि इतनी बड़े अमाउंट जो है वो अगर महामारी को रोकने के लिए किया जाए तो ज्यादा बेहतर होगा।
ओके, चलिए, अगर आज आपको बुलाया जाता तो आप जाते?
ये आप हाइपोथेटिकल क्वेश्चन प्राइम मिनिस्टर से पूछिए, जब उनकी बुलाने
सर आपसे पूछ रही हूँ, स्टैंड तो आपको लेना पड़ेगा ना। अगर आज आपके पास एक चिट्ठी आती, कहते नवल किशोर जी आप आइए, आज अनवेलिंग है, आप जाते?
पद्मजा जी, ये बताइए कि अगर पार्लियामेंट की सीटिंग वहां पे होगी और पार्लियामेंट की बैठक होगी तो कोई क्या अपोजिशन पार्टी ये कहेगा कि नया पार्लियामेंट है और बना इसलिए नहीं जाएंगे?
बैठक की बात तो अलग बात की है। अभी जो ये सेरेमोनियल्स हैं उसमें तो ऑब्वियसली लोकसभा में आप जाएंगे, राज्यसभा में जाएंगे, बट सेरेमोनियल्स के लिए आप जाएंगे क्या? अगर
नहीं, सेरेमोनियल में जाने का सवाल तब आता जब बुलाया जाता ना। आपको कैसे पता कि नहीं जाएंगे?
इसे तो पूछ रही हूँ, जाते क्या आप?
नहीं,
आपकी मनोस्थिति क्या है? आज सुबह आप मन बना के बैठे होंगे ना कि अभी चिट्ठी आएगी, अभी हम जाएंगे, और फिर चिट्ठी नहीं आई, आपने कहा हो।
नहीं, वो तो मन की बात करने वाले से पूछे कि उनकी मनोस्थिति क्या है, कि क्या वही दिखना चाहते हैं पूरे देश में? जितना भी कंस्ट्रक्शन हो, जितना भी राजनीति हो, उसमें केवल मोदी जी
क्या है आपकी मनोस्थिति? शहजाद पूनावाला,
मन की बात है,
आपकी मन की बात बताइए।
हाँ, मैंने नवल जी की बात ध्यानपूर्वक सुनी। उन्होंने एक वैलिड पॉइंट उठाया, मुझे उसको एड्रेस करने दीजिए। देखिए नवल जी, आज नए संसद भवन का इनॉग्रेशन नहीं हुआ है, ये केवल नेशनल एम्बलम का अनवीलिंग हुआ है, जो कि एक एग्जीक्यूटिव एक्ट है, पर फिर भी उसमें जो दोनों सदन के सचिव है, हेड है, उनको बुलाया गया। परंतु मेरा आपसे सवाल है, नए सदन भवन का आज आप अपनी पार्टी की ओर से स्वागत कर रहे हैं कि अच्छा है कि ये बन रहा है? क्योंकि अब तक आपकी पार्टी का स्टैंड था कि हम इसके खिलाफ है, सख्त खिलाफ है, वी विल डाई बट वी डोंट वांट दिस। आज आप ये स्टैंड बदल रहे हैं क्या पद्मजा के शो पर? कृपया करके पहले बता दीजिए।
नवल किशोर जी,
आज तो हमने नए सदन भवन का इनॉग्रेशन नहीं किया है, उसके लिए तो बुलाया जाएगा, पर आज आपने स्टैंड बदला है, उसका स्वागत करता हूं मैं आरजेडी का खुल के स्वागत करता हूं। पद्मजा, आपके शो पर ऑपोजिशन ने जो अब तक का बॉयकॉट था न्यूज पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग और सेंट्रल विस्टा का, उसको त्याग दिया है। पद्मजा जी, आपके शो को साधुवाद।
बॉयकॉट इज ओवर।
देखिए आसारात पूनावाला जी, आपका ट्रेनिंग कंप्लीट हो गया है, तो हम सेंटर टू राइट जो गए हैं वो आपका कंप्लीट हो गया। आप उस तरह की बात बोलना शुरू कर दिए हैं। मैं आपसे सिर्फ ये पूछता हूं कि बहुत सारा सवाल पूछते हैं ना, पार्लियामेंट की परिभाषा सुन लीजिए, लोकसभा, राज्यसभा एंड प्रेसिडेंट।
मैं तो हमेशा राइट पे था।
लोग सुन लीजिए, अरे पहले बात सुन लीजिए सर, आप बहुत ज्ञानी हैं, मुझे मालूम है। जब से आप नागपुर के पाठशाला में पढ़ना शुरू किए, आपका ज्ञान एकाएक बढ़ गया है। मैं सिर्फ आपसे पूछना चाहता हूं कि अगर पार्लियामेंट का परिभाषा लोकसभा, राज्यसभा और प्रेसिडेंट है, तो फिर कम से कम प्रेसिडेंट को तो इनवाइट करना चाहिए। अपोजिशन को तो पद्मजा जी भी खारिज करती हैं कि अपोजिशन नाम का कोई चीज नहीं है इस देश में, केवल पत्रकार और मीडिया है और रूलिंग पार्टी है।
सर क्या बोल रहे हैं आप? यहाँ ऑपोजिशन के 4 रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स बैठे हुए हैं, बीजेपी का 1 बैठा है, फिर भी आपने मेरे पर अनायास ही इल्जाम लगा दिया कि मैं खारिज करती हूँ। मैं खारिज करती होती तो 4 रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स को बैठाती, क्या एक बीजेपी के खिलाफ? ये तो देखिए गलत है। आप एंटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बात कर रहे हैं। बट एनीवे, क्विक रिबटल फ्रॉम शहजाद पूनावाला, देन आई वांट टू ब्रिंग इन डॉक्टर शशि पांजा।
Padmaja ji, today was the unveiling of the national emblem on top of one of the please एक करके एक सेंट्रल फॉयर के ऊपर जो नेशनल एम्बलम लग रहा है उसका अनावरण था। आज जो दोनों सदन के अध्यक्ष थे वो थे। क्या ये कहना चाह रहे हैं हमारे साथी कि जो दोनों सदन के अध्यक्ष है वो उनके सारे सदस्यों को प्रतिबिंबित नहीं करते? आज आपने अपनी इतना अविश्वास है लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं में कि जो दोनों सदनों के सचिव हेड है उनके अंदर भी आपको विश्वास नहीं रहा। Arey bhai sahab, this was not the inauguration of the full building. It was unveiling of a national emblem. There was Prime Minister from Government of India, and from both houses, encapsulating both houses and the spirit of both houses were the chairs of both houses. और क्या चाहिए आपको? आप तो इसका विरोध कर रहे थे, आज स्वागत तो कीजिए।
Okay, do you at least welcome it, Dr. Shashi Panja? Principally, when you look at the emblem, do you feel happy? You approve? Appreciate?
Yes, of course we do feel happy, because Shehzadji just is saying that ये तो सिर्फ national emblem था, but national emblem is so very important to us. आपके लिए just ऐसा ही था, इतना भी तो हल्का नहीं है. Maybe the weight आपको मालूम है 9,500 kg है, लेकिन आपकी जो arrogance है, the arrogance weighs more. You know what is wrong? What would have happened? Would the skies have fallen if you had invited the opposition leaders or leaders from the opposition part? It's as simple as that. We also want to be part of it.
You want to be part of it, but Dr. Panja,
yes.
I want to remind you that in 2020, here is what a member of parliament in the Rajya Sabha of your party said. Why are we in the opposition criticizing Central Vista project? It's a very, very important project, because Modi must have his peacock garden built next to his office, and Shah must have a veranda next to his office for his 3 pet poodles. That is why the Central Vista project is needed. We, the silly opposition, want the 20,000 crores being spent on Central Vista to be used instead to vaccinate 80% of the people of India. Now the thing is, in 2022, 80% of our population is also vaccinated, and today we've got something which you say you find very beautiful. Then do you think what you said in 2021 was ill thought out? It was an ill thought out criticism?
2 points, ma'am. Are you trying to say, Padmaja ji? Then, or are we to conclude that this was the reason? Because you opposed at that time, so this is the reason why we did not invite. Are you trying to say that?
No, I am trying to ask that do you now think in hindsight that maybe your criticism at that time wasn't substantiated?
I have not completed, ma'am.
Yes.
And the time when the opposition, as opposition, we didn't oppose because we wanted to oppose, because we were very worried during COVID times.
But do you think those worries were ill thought out? Because clearly you thought it can either be Central Vista or it can be 80% vaccination.
The supply of oxygen cylinders.
But ma'am, I am asking you a simple comparison. In 2021 you said Central Vista should be stopped because otherwise if Central Vista continues, 80% vaccination won't happen. In 2022 July we are sitting where we have more than 80% vaccination, and you have an emblem being inaugurated which you say looks beautiful. Do you think that criticism was ill-founded?
What was wrong in inviting us? Because you didn't invite, so Padmaja ji, we have to conclude that they didn't invite because we criticized you.
No, I am not saying that. My very simple question is, ma'am, do you think, see, first of all, I don't understand the logic of wanting an invitation to something that you didn't like to begin with.
COVID management? Ma'am, are you trying to prioritize Central Vista over
not
COVID
in the least.
And that was the only
not
plan.
In the least. Here's the thing. I'm saying that fundamentally, to think that one needs to prioritize or one has to choose between Central Vista or vaccination was a false argument. I'm saying something completely different. It was never an either-or project. You'll do vaccination and you'll have Central Vista, and in 2022 you see both has happened.
No. Both have happened. How many deaths were there? COVID deaths. You've forgotten the people who are dead. You've forgotten the bodies which were floating in the Ganges. You've forgotten the dearth of the oxygen cylinders.
Making a really morbid argument, then in protesting that. So ma'am, using your own logic, since you said because of COVID Central Vista shouldn't happen, now you're saying our COVID handling was terrible, then you should anyway boycott the unveiling of the emblem.
The least you can do, Padmaja ji, is sympathize with those COVID deaths.
Ma'am, I have all the sympathy, but that is a false equivalence. I'm saying your argument is that we failed in COVID management, then you as the opposition party should be boycotting the emblem, saying we do not want to go for this inauguration because our COVID management failed.
No, are you aware that we missed all the milestones of COVID vaccination? The targets laid out by the government.
Okay, Tushar Gupta come in, but Tushar Gupta, respond.
You know, Padmaja, I've been listening for the last 15 odd minutes and it's very amusing
because they are citing the constitution, but they do not realize that the leader of opposition needs to have at least 54 odd seats, which the Congress doesn't have. Nevertheless, I would sympathize with the Congress and the other opposition leaders here that they wanted to be a part of the unveiling of the national emblem today. But I also want to remind them that it was their party which said that Central Vista is a misplaced priority of a whimsical autocrat. At that point, they did not remember that Central Vista is for all the parties, all the legislative members for the two houses, which come from different parties, not just the BJP. At that time, they did not remember that the people working in the Central Vista are not just of the BJP, but a lot of civil servants who are in the service of the Indian citizens. At that time, they did not remember that there was enough literature in the public that cited the importance of having a new building, given the fire hazards in the current Parliament House. They called it a Modi Mahal. They called it Tughlaq's new capital. The presidential candidate of the opposition mocked the permission given by the Supreme Court while it dismissed all the petitions saying Bahubali ko kaun rok sakta hai. And today they are cribbing like a class 4th child on being not invited to a birthday party. Where is this hypocrisy coming from? Not once, Padmaja, not once did they appreciate the progress that was being made on the construction.
Okay, Dr. Shashi Panja, you want to respond to that analogy?
Through PILs and whatever the Delhi government was doing.
You bullied the class, that boy in class, and now when he has a birthday party, you want to be in the picture.
So now, Shashi, for this is a birthday party for you, isn't it? This is all that you've understood of the Constitution. This is all that you've understood, that the Parliament belongs to the opposition. Tushar, may I complete?
The opposition
this is not a class 4 class, and this was not a birthday party. This was not a birthday party. And you don't know that the Parliament belongs to the opposition.
Dr. Pancha, let me ask you a straight question. This is like one of those exam subjective questions. Do you think that the Central Vista, of which this emblem is a part, is a symbol of democracy or a symbol of a whimsical autocrat? Choose between the two. Is it a vanity project of a whimsical autocrat, or is it a symbol of democracy of which the TMC is a part? Which one is it?
May I respond to Trushaji? Trushaji, if you think that the opposition is so decimated and so few in numbers, so few, then what is the urge of passing ordinances when you have a forthcoming parliament?
Ma'am, again, with the greatest respect, we are going off tangent here. I have a very simple binary question for you. Ma'am, please indulge me for 30 seconds, 10 seconds in fact. Here are two options. Is the Central Vista a vanity project of a whimsical autocrat, or a symbol of democracy of which the TMC is a part and it loves and respects? Which one is it? Which one is it?
Why don't you respect the opposition then? Why don't you respect the Trinamool Congress?
Ma'am, everyone respects, but do you find the Central Vista something that you love and respect, or you think it is Modi Mahal of a whimsical autocrat?
You are missing the point. We are doing a post-mortem of an event which has already been done by the Prime Minister, who did not even once think that the opposition should be invited. We are doing a post-mortem. The event is over. What we are just trying to say is, why doesn't opposition get its share of respect? Is it very wrong?
Ma'am, do you want a share of respect, or do you want a share of the publicity? Or a share of credit? What is it that you're seeking a share of?
Thank you, Padmaja ji. You nailed it. So Prime Minister did it for publicity.
No, I'm asking you.
Did all this for publicity. You just asked that our presence will be publicity and Prime Ministers would not be publicity.
But you still didn't answer my question. Do you find the Central Vista something to love and respect, or no?
No. Why don't you answer my question? Was the Prime Minister there for publicity?
Okay, Shehzad Poonawala.
The opposition would have been there.
Shehzad Poonawala. Then I really must bring in Gokul Chandra. Yes.
Padmaja. Padmaja, because the time is running out and I have great regard for Shashi Panja ji, so I hope she'll indulge me. I'll just take 30 seconds. Ma'am, please, 30 seconds, ma'am. First, Shashi Panja ji has spoken about respect. Panja ji, with all due respect, here is a statement of Mamta Didi, and she has said, don't consider Modi as country's Prime Minister. Do you think this is respect? And I'm not saying this out of badle ki bhavna. I'm reminding you where you're coming from. You spoke about ego. Madam, Vishwa Bharati centenary event was taking place for Rabindranath Tagore, our Rabindranath Tagore. Mamta Didi did not go because Prime Minister was there. There was another event in Kolkata. Please, Panja ji, I did not interrupt you. Panjaji, I did not interrupt you. Panjaji, you are getting exposed. I did not interrupt you. Padmaja, your show is not.
Dr. Panja, 30 seconds,
Padmaja,
then you'll come back.
Please protect
yes,
my time.
Go on.
Padmaja, I did not. I did not interrupt anybody. Padmaja, I did not interrupt anybody. Padmaja, I do not have a habit of interrupting. Please. Secondly, there was an event at Kolkata for Netaji. At that time, somebody chanted Jai Shri Ram or they chanted some slogan in national interest. Mamta Didi stormed off. अरे किसका ego है जो national emblem के वजन से भी ज़्यादा है? I don't need to say this. Now coming to the main point. Shashi Panjaji, this is a country where even though you said Modi vaccine, BJP vaccine, nahi lenge vaccine, we have still given maximum vaccines to states like yours to ensure everyone gets vaccinated. We do not have any intention to be vindictive. We are saying when the Parliament House will be inaugurated, you and all the opposition leaders will be there. Today was a national emblem ka anavaran. You have skipped the stone laying foundation. You have no regret for that. You oppose this project. You have no regret for that. Today was a national emblem unveiling where the speaker and the deputy chairman was there. Today you are making a hue and cry out of it. It is not invitation. This is your political frustration, madam.
Okay, Dr. Naval Kishore is also smiling, but I really must bring in Gokul Chandran at this point. Gokul Chandran, you know, to use a very loose analogy, this is one of those awkward moments where you have a friend and, you know, she wants to marry someone and you're like, no, the man is terrible, you know, he's a terrible person, don't go with him. And then when they eventually do get married, you say, arey, wedding photograph mein you're standing next to them and giving blessings. Aise nahi hota na. Either you think that the match is a terrible match, and then when you have already called the match terrible, you can't be posing in the wedding pictures with a victory sign.
Good evening, Padmaja. India is a democratic country.
And all your examples, I will take it. But then just consider how many projects which the Congress or the other opposition parties have brought in were opposed by BJP. So when they come to power, when Mr. Modi came to power, did he stop visiting those places? Did he demolish their places? No. See, in a democracy, every opposition party has their points, has their view, has their opposition to any new projects, or they have their views. But after coming to power, they respect that. They respect what has been done by the previous government, or which is what is being done by the government. Yeah, of course, Modi is a megalomaniac Prime Minister we have.
Let's not throw about adjectives.
Yeah.
Say what you will, but back it with facts.
Fine, I'll complete it. But now you are talking about a bride and bridegroom marriage, beautiful, ugly. What if it is a own mother and father? The own mother and father says this guy is ugly, don't marry him. And suddenly when she decides that no, I am going to marry this guy, will not the parents expect the invitation from their daughter to go and attend the marriage? It is a very simple logic, Padmaja. So when you oppose,
Tushar Sharma, Tushar Gupta, we've taken the analogy a step further. So the Congress party is the benevolent parents who are like, okay, my daughter is making a mistake, terrible match, but I'll go and bless it nonetheless.
Padmaja, take the example of Manrega.
You know, Padmaja, I used to study Hindi in school, and there was a Lakopti we used to study, Khisyani Billi Khamba Noche. This is what these opposition leaders come across as today. Congress says we are very worried during the pandemic about the expenditure, yet during the second wave it was their toolkit that surfaced which was to embarrass India on the international stage. The TMC says that we were worried about the expenditure, we command respect. I want to tell the TMC spokespersons, the country is not West Bengal where you'll bully people into respecting you. Respect is earned as an opposition. And look at the actions of Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee. Every time Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits West Bengal, do not talk about respect. My simple point, Padmaja, is for the last 2 years, none of these parties, no one in the opposition showed any intent or interest or integrity when it came to the Central Vista project. All they made it was a political punching bag. And today, when the celebrations are beginning, when the unveiling of the national emblem, which is the starting progress as we move towards the inauguration of the entire Central Vista next year, now they are crying, now they are wishing why they are not a part of it. They were cursing it for the last 2.5 years, but now they want to be a part of the celebration. How does that
Dr. Naval Kishore, I think आप इसको respond कर पाएंगे. खिसियानी बिल्ली खंबा नोचे बोल रहे हैं और दो जल्दी से आपको examples दे देती हूँ. 21 जून 2019 there was a dinner hosted by the Prime Minister for newly elected members of Parliament. This is one of those niceties which you are expecting today. He hosted it for everyone. आपके एमपीज ने बॉयकॉट किया, आपने कहा ये फालतू है, ये वेस्ट ऑफ मनी है, हम नहीं जाएंगे. उसके बाद इन 2020 नीतीश जी ने डिनर रखा उन्होंने ओथ टेकिंग सेरेमनी थी. दैट टाइम ऑल्सो द आरजेडी बॉयकॉटेड द ओथ टेकिंग सेरेमनी ऑफ नीतीश कुमार. दे सेड दैट पीपल्स वर्डिक्ट हैज बीन चेंज्ड by the JDU, we will not go. So when niceties were extended, you said हम नहीं जाएंगे क्योंकि हम अपोज करते हैं, ये पैसे की बर्बादी है. अब नहीं बुलाया है, अब आप कह रहे हैं हमें क्यों नहीं बुलाया है. तुषार गुप्ता कह रहे हैं खिसियानी बिल्ली खंबा नोचे.
कितना अच्छा लगा आपको इनका आर्गुमेंट, कितना अच्छा लगा. आपके डिबेट में एक ही चीज है कि आर्गुमेंट इज द एनिमी ऑफ ट्रूथ. नीतीश कुमार ने नरेंद्र मोदी के सामने से थाली छीन लिया. वो नरेंद्र मोदी जी भूल गए, उनके साथ सत्ता चोरी का शासन में रहे.
सर मैं तो आपकी पार्टी के स्टैंड के बारे में बात कर रही हूँ. आप जेडीयू और बीजेपी की हिस्ट्री में क्यों चले गए? मैं तो आपसे सिंपली बोल रही हूँ. आपने आज कहा कि बेसिक डिसेंसी एक्सटेंड नहीं की गई. मैं आपको 2 इंस्टेंसेस बता रही हूँ जहां बेसिक डिसेंसी वाज एक्सटेंडेड. खुद मोदी जी ने 2019 में आपको बुलाया था, कहा आइए डिनर खाइए क्योंकि आप सब आपका चुनाव हुआ है. आपने कहा हम नहीं जाएंगे, पैसे की बर्बादी है. अब आज आप क्यों कह रहे हैं कि हमें क्यों नहीं बुलाया?
बिल्कुल सही आपने कहा, और यही आर्गुमेंट आप देंगे ही, क्योंकि इसके अलावा आपके पास कोई आर्गुमेंट नहीं है. यहाँ पर आपने शुरू किया, देखिए आर्गुमेंट, जब डिबेट आपने शुरू किया इनविटेशन पे, आप चले गए इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ नेशनल एम्बलम पे, आप चले गए पूरे हिस्ट्री में, आप चले गए कोविड में. जब भी कोई अपोजिशन का प्रवक्ता बोलता है तो आप 10 बार उसे क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, और जब भी शहजाद पूनावाला, तुषार गुप्ता बोलते हैं आपके चेहरे पे कितनी खुशी होती है. ये देख के लगता है
अभी भी उतनी खुशी है.
आपका एजेंडा है, आपका एजेंडा है.
सर आपने मेरे सवाल का जवाब देने की जगह मेरा ही विश्लेषण कर दिया.
नहीं, आप देखिए जो डिबेट रहेगा, जिस तरह का डिबेट रहेगा उस पर तो टिप्पणी करना पड़ेगा ना. आप अगर कोई
सर पर मैं आपसे सिंपल पूछ रही हूँ. अच्छा चलिए छोड़िए, आपसे सबसे आसान सवाल पूछती हूँ मैं. आज एम्ब्लम अनवेल हुआ, अच्छा लगा आपको?
किसको खराब लगेगा?
सुंदर लगा?
लगेगा क्या पद्मजा जी को?
सुंदर लगा ना नवल किशोर जी?
एम्ब्लम से
अच्छा लग रहा है ना, सुंदर लग रहा है ना सेंट्रल विस्टा?
सुनिए तो पहले आप देखिए, आप नेशनल एम्ब्लम से इस देश में किसी को समस्या नहीं है. समस्या उस व्यक्ति से है जिसके चरित्र में तानाशाही घुसा हुआ है, जिस दल को लगता है कि वही देश है, जिस संगठन को लगता है कि उसके अलावा कोई है ही नहीं, जिस प्रवक्ता को लगता है कि वो मोदी जी से भी ऊपर है, जिस पत्रकार को लगता है कि जो मैं बोल रही हूँ वही सही है. समस्या इससे है.
चलिए आई थिंक सबसे अच्छा नोट है जिस पे डिबेट को एंड करना है, क्योंकि खुद नवल किशोर जी ने बता दिया समस्या कभी एम्ब्लम नहीं था, समस्या शायद सेंट्रल विस्टा भी नहीं था, समस्या मोदी जी से है. और ये नवल किशोर जी ही कह रहे हैं. अब तो आप नहीं बुरा मानेंगे ना कि कुछ अलग कह रही हूँ, आप ही के शब्द यूज कर रही हूँ. चलिए ऑन दैट नोट, चलिए समस्या सॉल्व हो गई, सेंट्रल विस्टा बन रहा है. मे यू गेट अ गुड पार्लियामेंट एंड अ गुड सेंट्रल विस्टा विच आप लोग एंजॉय करेंगे. आप लोग सब जाते हैं वहां पे, हम तो कम ही जाते हैं. ऑन दैट नोट, थैंक यू वेरी मच ऑल जेंटलमैन. शशि पांजा, डॉक्टर शशि पांजा फॉर ज्वाइनिंग मी. On a day when the United Nations predicted that in another year or so, India will surpass China as the most populous country in the world, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath also raised a red flag, stressing that while population control programs must go ahead successfully, he also red flagged population imbalance, which he said that if it is allowed to happen, it could eventually lead to anarchy and chaos.
हमें इस बात को ध्यान में रखना होगा कि जनसंख्या नियंत्रण का कार्यक्रम सफलतापूर्वक आगे बढ़े, लेकिन जनसांख्यिकी असंतुलन की स्थिति भी न पैदा होने पाए. ऐसा नहीं कि किसी वर्ग की आबादी बढ़ने की स्पीड, उनका प्रतिशत ज्यादा हो और कुछ जो मूल निवासी हो उन लोगों की आबादी के स्थिरीकरण में हम लोग जागरूकता के माध्यम से, इन्फोर्समेंट के माध्यम से उसको नियंत्रित करके जनसंख्या संतुलन की स्थिति पैदा करें.
So the Chief Minister's advice on regulation as the need of the hour has been summarily rejected by the opposition as yet another attempt to try and polarize. Some even went so far as to deny the very existence of a population crisis. Others like Asaduddin Owaisi also saw it as a Sanghi lie.
per woman, the child should be 2.1%. So 2.1% now is not being crossed. So there is no threat to it. However, if they want to do it, no, they are welcome to do it. But they make Hindu-Muslim out of anything, out of nothing. So this is just to polarize the society. And again I said that if they move the bill, no problem, but at the same time, where is the need?
It is their divisive rule, divisive policy of the BJP, and we all know that what is their motive behind that. But unfortunately, the Muslims and the Hindus both are deprived in India. So they are not the Hindu party, they are not the party of the poor, they are party of the capitalists, and they are going to make this India for the capitalists and not for the poor.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, Dr. Naval Kishore continues with us, as does Tushar Gupta. We are also joined by Anurag Bhadoria, National Spokesperson, Samajwadi Party, Zubair Memon, Political Analyst, and Rakesh Tripathi, Spokesperson of the BJP in Uttar Pradesh. But Dr. Naval Kishore जी, मैं आप ही से स्टार्ट करना चाहती हूँ ताकि सबसे पहले आपको बोलने का मौका मिले. आज तेजस्वी जी ने बोला काफी दिलचस्प बात. उन्होंने कहा, despite being the most populous country, China is ahead of India in terms of economy, GDP, and development. Shouldn't it spark a debate? If rising population is a threat, then why is China doing so well? तो आप कह रहे हैं कि ज्यादा जनसंख्या होना अच्छी बात है, बढ़नी चाहिए जनसंख्या.
देखिए, समस्या कहां पे है, वहां पे अगर आप कुछ नहीं कर पा रहे हैं तो आप जरूर शिफ्ट करेंगे मुद्दे को. यही चीज तेजस्वी जी कहना चाहते हैं कि मुद्दों पे बात अगर नहीं करना है तो कभी धर्म पे, कभी जनसंख्या पे, कहीं अकली पे, कहीं कुछ पे, कहीं अपोजिशन पे, ये सब काम करते रहेंगे. जहां तक चाइना का सवाल है, ये कौन नहीं जानता है कि द फर्स्ट लीडर ऑफ चाइना, माओ ने कहा था कि व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस इज नॉट मास प्रोडक्शन बट प्रोडक्शन बाय मासेस. इसका मतलब था कि वो ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज को वैल्यू देते थे. यहाँ पर जो ह्यूमन रिसोर्स है, जो पीपल है, वो बेरोजगारी के शिकार हैं. जहां पर बेरोजगारी को ही यहाँ पर साधन बनाया गया है शासन करने का. इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में उन्होंने कहा कि जब आप बात करते हैं तो बात आपको मुद्दे पे करनी चाहिए. शिक्षा ठीक है कि नहीं, रोजगार की व्यवस्था है कि नहीं. आप जाते हैं बिहार में और कहते हैं कि मुझे जिताओ, हम 19 लाख रोजगार देंगे. 19 महीना हो गया, 19 रोजगार नहीं दिया आपने, और आप ये सब बात को, इन मुद्दों को बाहर उठाते हैं. इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में उन्होंने कहा कि रियल इश्यू पे बात करना शुरू करना चाहिए सरकार को.
तो इसमें दो चीजें हैं नवल किशोर जी, आप खुद प्रोफेसर हैं, आप बेहतर जानते हैं. पहली बात तो चेयरमैन माओ का आप एग्जांपल दे रहे हैं, ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज की बात कर रहे हैं. चेयरमैन माओ ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज की बात करते हैं, पर चाइना में रिसोर्सेज भले ही हो, ह्यूमन राइट्स कुछ नहीं है. तो अगर उनका आइडिया है एम्प्लॉयमेंट देने का कि आप 20 घंटा स्वेट शॉप में काम करवाएं लोगों से विदाउट अ ब्रेक, एंड आपको बेहतर पता होगा ऑफ द काइंड ऑफ स्टोरीज दैट वी हैव ऑफ चाइना में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग क्यों इतनी ज्यादा है. इज दैट अ मॉडल दैट वी आर एडवोकेटिंग फॉर इंडिया कि हमारी बहुत सारी जनसंख्या है, सबको उठा करके डालो, स्वेट शॉप करो, चीप लेबर.
पद्मजा जी, शिफ्ट करना छोड़ दीजिए. आप बहुत रिस्पेक्टेड चैनल के एंकर हैं. उन्होंने सिर्फ ये बोला कि अगर आबादी समस्या है इस विश्व में, अर्थव्यवस्था को आगे बढ़ाने का, विकास करने का, तो हमसे आगे क्यों है चाइना. इसका मतलब कतई नहीं है कि उन्होंने कहा कि जो भारत में व्यवस्था है, लोकतंत्र है, उसको रिप्लेस करके कम्युनिस्ट गवर्नमेंट बना दिया जाए. इसका मतलब ये तो नहीं हुआ ना.
तो यानी कि आप इन प्रिंसिपल जनसंख्या कानून के और जनसंख्या नियंत्रण के फेवर में है. जनसंख्या नियंत्रित होनी चाहिए.
ये जनसंख्या, देखिए, जनसंख्या नियंत्रित होनी चाहिए, उसका एक पूरा पॉलिसी होना चाहिए. वो उस तरह से नहीं होना चाहिए कि योगी जी आए और कहेंगे बुलडोजर चला देंगे. योगी जी आएंगे और कहेंगे कानून व्यवस्था सब हम ही है. अगर कोई पार्लियामेंट्री प्रोसेस से कोई भी कानून आता है, डिबेट के माध्यम से हर स्टेक होल्डर को ध्यान में रखें, तो कौन उसका ये करेगा. आप
चलिए,
population
great.
पे बात नहीं करते हैं। आप
ठीक है, तो
communalise
इन
करने की
प्रिंसिपल
बात करते हैं।
ऑब्वियसली अगर कानून आएगा तो संसद के थ्रू ही आएगा और तब आपका भी वहां पे व्यू होगा, बट इन प्रिंसिपल आप सपोर्ट करते हैं। दैट्स अ ग्रेट प्रोग्रेसिव थॉट, आप सपोर्ट करते हैं ना?
नहीं, देखिए, आपको जिस सवाल का जवाब चाहिए वो सवाल का जवाब आपको मिल चुका है। आप चाहते हैं कि उसके भटकाकर कोई और जवाब ले ले। मैं सिंपल कर रहा हूं कि अगर जो आबादी नियंत्रण का बात कर रहे हैं उनको 8 साल में, और इसके पहले भी एक टर्म मिला था, ये 3 टर्म मिलने के बाद उनको लगता है कि मूल समस्या भारत का जो है वो आबादी है, जबकि जब भी वो आए हैं तो रिग्रेसिव में चला गया। पिछले 8 साल का शासन देखिएगा तो आबादी केवल समस्या नहीं है।
सो लेट्स टेक दिस वन बाय वन। पहले ये बताइए राकेश त्रिपाठी, जनसंख्या प्रॉब्लम है, उसमें एक कम्युनल डिसबैलेंस की बात क्यों ले आते हैं? मतलब पॉपुलेशन बूम इज अ प्रॉब्लम, बट उसमें भी एक कम्युनल ट्विस्ट देने की क्या जरूरत है?
वही उनका धंधा है।
देखिए, मुझे लगता है कि सच कहने के लिए, अरे सुन लीजिए नवल किशोर जी, सुन लीजिए, मुझे लगता है सुनने से कुछ ज्ञान बढ़ता है, सुनना चाहिए। आज उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ जी ने जो बातें कही हैं वो बातें बहुत साहस के साथ ही कोई व्यक्ति कह सकता है, क्योंकि समस्याओं से लोग मुंह मोड़ लेते हैं आसानी से, समस्याओं को एड्रेस नहीं करना चाहते तो समस्याओं का समाधान क्या करेंगे। उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री जी ने केवल जनसंख्या की वृद्धि को एक समस्या माना है, बल्कि जनसंख्या का असमान असंतुलन जो है वो भी एक समस्या के रूप में एड्रेस करने का काम किया है। और जब ये कह रहे हैं तो इसके पीछे डेटा है, फैक्ट्स है, हिस्ट्री है। भारत का विभाजन सबको याद है कि कैसे एक मजहब की आबादी के आधार पर केवल भारत का विभाजन होता है। हम भारत की एकता, अखंडता और सुरक्षा के जो भी खतरे उत्पन्न होंगे, हम उन खतरों को एड्रेस करने का काम करेंगे। आपके चैनल पर भी 4 दिन पहले खबर चली होगी कि झारखंड के एक जिले में किस प्रकार से 75% आबादी का दम भर करके स्कूल में प्रार्थना और पद्धति चेंज करने का दावा करने वाले लोग अपने प्रेस चैनल पर स्टोरी चलाई होगी। यानी जहां जहां पर आबादी किसी खास विशेष वर्ग या समुदाय की हो जाती है तो किस प्रकार से सामाजिक परिदृश्य पे, सामाजिक ताने बाने पर उसका कैसे प्रतिकूल प्रभाव पड़ता है, यह स्पष्ट तौर पर दिखाई दिया है। आज देश के 200 जिले ऐसे हैं, 9 राज्य ऐसे हैं जहां पर इस प्रकार का इंबैलेंस है, जनसंख्या का अनुपातिक असंतुलन है। आज उत्तर प्रदेश के 18 जिले ऐसे हैं, विशेष तौर पर रामपुर आप देखेंगे, अलीगढ़ देखेंगे, बरेली देखेंगे, बिजनौर देखेंगे, मुरादाबाद देखेंगे, मुजफ्फरनगर देखेंगे, तो ये वो जिले हैं जिन जिलों में कम्युनल टेंशन भी इसके आधार पर बनती है, जहां पर जनसंख्या का असमान असंतुलन होता है। तो उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री जी ने एक ऐसी समस्या जो वास्तविक समस्या है, जिसको समस्या मानने से इनकार कर रहे हैं, उस समस्या को एड्रेस करने का काम किया है। और जब तक हम समस्या को एड्रेस नहीं करेंगे तब तक समाधान नहीं देंगे।
अनुराग भदौरिया जी, डेटा इज हियर एंड डेटा बाय द वे लेट मी कोट टू यू।
पद्मजा एक मिनट,
हाँ बोलिए राकेश त्रिपाठी जी, बस लास्ट 10 सेकंड।
एक बात मैं जोड़ दूं, देश की आजादी के 60 साल के बाद, देश की आजादी के 60 साल के बाद आज 4.2% की दर से हिंदू घटा है और 4.47% की दर से मुस्लिम बढ़ा है। तो इस बात को लेकर के क्यों नहीं चर्चा होनी चाहिए कि आज हिंदुओं की आबादी की वृद्धि दर 16.7% है और मुसलमानों की वृद्धि आबादी की वृद्धि दर 24.7% की है। तो ये एक समान नीति क्यों नहीं होनी चाहिए?
अगर सिर्फ हम डेटा देखें नेशनल फैमिली हेल्थ सर्वे का, अनुराग भदौरिया जी, और ये नेशनल फैमिली हेल्थ सर्वे का डेटा है, वो हमें बताता है दैट yes, fertility rate among Muslims has gone down, fertility rate among Hindus has also gone down, but consistently अगर हम 1990 से लेकर के 2021 तक देख लें, the fertility rate of Muslims is much higher than that of Hindus. तो अगर आप कह रहे हैं कि भाई जनसंख्या में ज्यादा कंट्रीब्यूट कौन कर रहा है, the health survey says yes, it is Muslims. For 2015-16, the fertility rate of Muslims was 2.6 and for Hindus it was 2.1. And this is data. And you stated.
अच्छा, पद्मजा जी, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है, आप सुनने में विश्वास रखती, जितने प्यार से, शांति से आपने बीजेपी को सुना, उतने शांति से आप मुझे भी सुने, क्योंकि आप अच्छे पत्रकार हैं। देखिए, इन्होंने, बीजेपी के नेता ने बोला, पत्रकार ने बोला कि उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री ने बहुत साहस दिखाया। साहस नहीं दिखाया, राजनीति की। साहस दिखाते तो कहते पता है क्या है, आइए विपक्ष के नेता आप भी आइए, हम भी आते हैं, सब लोग मिल बैठ के, सब लोग बैठते हैं राउंड द टेबल और बात करते हैं, क्योंकि जो समस्या है यहाँ पे हमारे पॉपुलेशन की, इस देश के अंदर में, प्रदेश के अंदर में, उस पर हम लोग बहस करते हैं और कुछ उस पर एक ड्राफ्ट तैयार करते हैं, हम लोग मिल के तैयार करते हैं। वो ऐसी बातें नहीं करते, ये साहस नहीं, राजनीति है। और बार बार एकता अखंडता की बात करते हो। एकता अखंडता तब होती है जब हिंदू मुस्लिम सिख ईसाई अगड़े पिछड़े सब एक साथ मिलकर रहेंगे, तब एकता अखंडता की बात होती है। आप तो बार बार हर बात पे हिंदू मुस्लिम मुस्लिम हिंदू, हिंदू मुस्लिम मुस्लिम हिंदू, और पद्मजा जी भी आपका सपोर्ट करके वही कह रहे हिंदू मुस्लिम मुस्लिम हिंदू।
अरे सर,
पूरे
ये तो
राष्ट्र की
डेटा
बात करो,
है।
पूरे हिंदुस्तान
आप
की बात करो।
फर्टिलिटी रेट का डेटा बताऊंगी तो हिंदू मुस्लिम हो गया।
देखिए दिक्कत आपके साथ ये है कि जैसे मैं बोलूंगा आप बोलोगे।
सर मतलब कल आप कहेंगे कि भाई हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री हिंदू मुस्लिम कर रही है, वो मुस्लिम का क्यों ये कर।
मुझे भी सुन लीजिए ना, क्योंकि हम हिंदुस्तान की बात करते हैं, हिंदुस्तान में सभी की बात करते हैं जो हिंदुस्तानी हैं। हिंदुस्तानी मुस्लिम भी हैं, हिंदू भी हैं, सिख हैं, ईसाई हैं,
तो अलग से देखी जाती है ना अनुराग जी।
अब दिक्कत ये है पद्मजा जी, आप बोल दो कि भाई हमको बीजेपी की बात करनी, तो हम आपके हिसाब से बोलना शुरू कर देंगे। कमाल की
मतलब डेटा देते हैं आप लोग हिंदू मुस्लिम कर रहे हैं। एनीवे बोलिए बोलिए बोलिए।
आप जरा विपक्ष के साथ में रहिए, क्योंकि जो रोजगार की बात होगी तो आपको भी तो चाहिए ना, आपको मतलब हर महिला को रोजगार। तो हम अपने लिए रोजगार मांगते हैं या महंगाई की बात करते हैं, राष्ट्र की बात करते हैं। राष्ट्र में शांति होगी तो सबके लिए होगी। ये बीजेपी दरअसल में दिक्कत ये हो रही है, भारतीय जनता पार्टी कोई का समाधान नहीं चाहती है। 8 साल सरकार हो गए, वो पॉपुलेशन नहीं करती, पॉपुलेशन के नाम पे राज नहीं करती।
पॉपुलेशन हमारे देश की एक बड़ी समस्या है, इस पे आइए बैठिए, बात कीजिए, मसौदा तैयार कीजिए, उस पर आप चर्चा नहीं करेंगे।
आप बता दीजिए समाधान क्या है।
एक राजनीति करना
यू आर राइट, बीजेपी कुछ समाधान नहीं बता रही। अनुराग भदौरिया जी आप बताइए, समाजवादी पार्टी का क्या समाधान है बढ़ती जनसंख्या का? चलिए आप बताइए आज नेशनल टीवी पे।
सुन तो लीजिए,
समाधान बताइए ना।
परेशान क्यों है? अरे सुन तो लीजिए, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, फिर आप हमसे आर्गू करने लगे। अरे आपको आर्गू सरकार से करनी तो विपक्ष से कर रहे हैं। विपक्ष कानून बनाएगा क्या? विपक्ष मसौदा तैयार करेगा क्या? सरकार का क्या काम है? झुंझुना बजाना? आप तो कमाल पद्मजा जी हिम्मत।
अरे अभी आप कह रहे हैं बीजेपी बेकार है, हमसे जाके पूछे। मैं आपसे पूछ रही हूँ, आप कह रहे हैं मुझसे सवाल क्यों पूछ रहे हो?
तो मुझे
अनुराग जी ये तो मतलब चित भी मेरी पट भी मेरी।
जब मैं बोलूंगा तो आपके समझ में आ जाएगा। आप इतना टोकोगे तो
अनुराग जी चलिए आपको मैं एक सिंपल देती हूँ, ठीक है? आप बोलते हैं कि हर चीज पे हिंदू मुस्लिम क्यों है। यहाँ पर प्रधानमंत्री ने बोला कि लड़कियों की शादी की उम्र बढ़ा करके 18 साल से 20 साल की जाए। आपने क्यों अपोज किया? वो तो मुसलमानों पे भी नहीं था, वो तो सब लड़कियों पे था। देश की सारी महिलाओं के लिए, सारी बेटियों के लिए था कि 18 साल पे उम्र आप शादी मत करो, 20 साल पे करो। आपने इतना प्रोटेस्ट किया कि उसको स्टैंडिंग कमेटी में भेज दिया गया। क्यों?
आप इधर उधर
जनसंख्या की प्रॉब्लम तो ये भी होती है, 18 साल पे लड़कियां शादी कर रही हैं, 19 साल में मां बन रही हैं। आप आज बोलिए हम सपोर्ट करते हैं लड़कियों की 20 साल में शादी कराओ। मुस्लिम नहीं, हिंदू भी, सिख पारसी सबकी शादी 20 साल में कराओ।
बोल लूं पद्मजा जी, देवी जी बोल लूं, हो गया बीजेपी की बात आपसे तो मैं बोल लूं। कमाल है, इतना तो बीजेपी का प्रवक्ता नहीं तो बोलता जितना आप बोल जाते हो। तो हम तो
सर मैं देश की प्रवक्ता हूँ, जैसे आप भी जब बोलना शुरू करते हैं आप देश की बात करते हैं, मैं भी देश की प्रवक्ता हूँ।
पद्मजा जी है तो सही, आप मुझे बोलने दीजिए, मुझे नहीं बोलने दे रहे। सारी बात तो आप ही बोल रहे हो, इतना तो बीजेपी को रखता नहीं बोल पाए। मैं आपसे कह रहा हूँ पद्मजा जी, सवाल यह है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी को असली मुद्दों से ध्यान भटकाना है। उसे पता है सत्ता में जब वो वोट मांग रहे थे तो क्या उन्होंने एक बार भी बोला कि पॉपुलेशन हमारी समस्या है और हम आएंगे तो इसमें कानून बनाएंगे?
अब सर देखिए मैं एक छोटी सी बात बोलती हूँ, अब आप मेरे को फिर से भले से प्रवक्ता बोल दे। अब देखिए यूनाइटेड नेशंस ने रिपोर्ट निकाली, या तो यूनाइटेड नेशंस असली मुद्दों से ध्यान भटका रहा है, या यूनाइटेड नेशंस भी आप जैसा अलेज करते हैं कि बीजेपी के प्रवक्ता बन गई है। अब वर्ल्ड पॉपुलेशन डे में पॉपुलेशन की बात करेंगे ना सर?
थोड़ी होगा पद्मजा जी, आप बुलाओगे बोलने के लिए, आप ही बोलोगे तो हमें क्यों बुलाया फिर? सर आप ही बोल लेते ना फिर।
माशाल्लाह 10 मिनट से बोले जा रहे हैं, फिर आप कहेंगे बोलने नहीं दे रहे। चलिए वेरी क्विकली आई वांट टू गेट इन जुबैर मेमन आल्सो एंड देन तुषार गुप्ता विल रिस्पॉन्ड। आज जुबैर मेमन साहब सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग बात बोली ओवैसी जी ने, उन्होंने कहा प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है, मतलब प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है। यूनाइटेड नेशंस फालतू में बैठ करके रिपोर्ट पे रिपोर्ट बनाया जा रहा है, प्रॉब्लम है ही नहीं, जनसंख्या मस्त चल रही है।
जी अगर आप एम्पिरिकल डेटा देखेंगे,
देश की ग्रोथ हो, देश का फर्टिलिटी रेट हो, तो कोई भी समझदार इंसान कहेगा कि देश के अंदर किसी भी तरीके का पॉपुलेशन एक्सप्लोजन नहीं है। ये सिर्फ एक मिथ है, ये एम्पिरिकल डेटा पे कहा जाएगा। पर अब जो हम डिबेट ये सुन रहे हैं, जो मैं तकरीबन 15-20 मिनट से सभी पैनलिस्ट को सुन रहा था और आपको भी सुन रहा था, तो हमको कहीं ना कहीं इसके अंदर एक कम्युनल ओवरटोन दिखता है। अगर इस पर कम्युनल ओवरटोन आ रहा है तो मैं सभी इंटेलेक्चुअल से, सभी अपोजिशन से गुजारिश करूंगा कि कोई भी इस चीज का विरोध ना करे, क्योंकि अगर बीजेपी को इसको लाना है, अगर ये देश की उन्नति के लिए कर रहे हैं, उनको करने दीजिए। अगर ये पोलराइजेशन के लिए हो रहा है तो उनको मुद्दा पोलराइजेशन का मत दीजिए। हमने देखा है कि गलत नीतियों पे गलत डेटा पे गलत तरीके से अगर पॉलिसी लाद दी जाती है तो हमारे पड़ोसी देश का क्या हाल हो रखा है और वहां के प्रेसिडेंट कहाँ भागे भागे फिर रहे हैं, वो सब हम देख रहे हैं। असल में दिक्कत ये हो गई है कि जो हमारे देश के अंदर सवाल करना चाहिए सत्ताधारियों से, वो सवाल होते हैं विपक्ष से। तो उसमें दिक्कत ये हो रही है कि जो असल मुद्दे है देश के अंदर, सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा है पॉपुलेशन एक्सप्लोजन को पूरी तरीके से आप पढ़ेंगे तो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट का पॉपुलेशन एक्सप्लोजन हो गया है। 50% से ज्यादा यूथ इस देश का अनएम्प्लॉयड है, उस चीज का पॉपुलेशन एक्सप्लोजन हुआ है। और
सर वो यूथ पॉपुलेशन में ऐड हो रहा है, तभी तो फिर बेरोजगारी भी प्रॉब्लम हो रही है ना। नौकरियां तो सेट अमाउंट में होंगी, अगर आप जॉबलेसनेस को पॉपुलेशन से डिवोर्स करके देख रहे हैं, ये तो मतलब कॉमन सेंस, इट बेगर्स कॉमन सेंस। बट लेट्स आस्क तुषार गुप्ता, बिकॉज ही एक्चुअली डज डेटा, इज इट ट्रू कि कोई पॉपुलेशन एक्सप्लोजन हो ही नहीं रहा अकॉर्डिंग टू डेटा एज जुबैर मेमन सेज?
See, Padmaja, just when I thought I had seen everything in life, I see the RJD spokesperson making pro-business arguments. So I'm still in shock. But nevertheless, to answer your question, see, the one correlation we really need to look at is, forget religion, forget communalism, the people which are having a population explosion within their communities, what is the per capita income? People who are having 5 kids, 7 kids are remarrying. Can they even afford to bring those kids up with the right education, with the right nutrition, with the right resources? Can they guarantee them an ideal place in the society when it comes to access to education, higher education especially? So these are the questions we need to answer. And if we look deeper, we look at the community-wise data. And this is not about religion. We have to talk economics here.
No, but they're saying कि ऐसा नहीं है कि हिंदुओं के घर में 5-6 बच्चे नहीं होते। कितने लोग हैं उनके घर में 10, 11, 12 बच्चे होते हैं, irrespective of religion.
Exactly. So we need to look at the economics of it. People remarry, people have multiple kids. Just today in UP, you had an auto with 27 people inside it. So you need to look at the people who are actually, having 5 kids, 10 kids. Are they in a position to guarantee them that access of resources in the first 10 years, in the first 20 years? If not, then we need to really use a serious debate.
Zubair Memon, ये इकोनॉमिक और वेलफेयर आर्गुमेंट है, रिलीजियस नहीं। Zubair Memon.
Actually we are not addressing the actual fact. If we look at the examples, earlier we have heard about China. I would like to mention that in South Korea and Taiwan, from 1971 till there is a huge population growth and never there has been a per capita income decrease.
Okay, I'm going to unfortunately have to cut this short here, but let's make one thing very clear. Is there a problem with our population? It is, and divorced from our domestic politics, it is the United Nations, and frankly anyone with common sense who can see it. When it comes to addressing it, like some politicians have suggested, Mr. Zubair Memon has suggested, the opposition should not see it through a communal lens, neither should the government make it a communal issue. It's eventually about our community's welfare. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for having joined me. Thanks for watching.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, a free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shiv Shankar.
आगे बढ़ेंगे जो भी रहेंगे ना 10 लोग
सोशल मीडिया पर of rain in the Tapi district of Gujarat. A bridge on the road connecting Panchol and Kumbia villages was washed away by flash floods. Heavy security has been deployed outside the Amritsar court for hearing of mastermind Lawrence Bishnoi in murder of singer Sidhu Moosewala. Normal life was disrupted after heavy rains engulfed areas in Tamil Nadu, and normal life was thrown out of gear. 2 miscreants have been nabbed by Moradabad police in a fake telephone exchange operation. Miscreants were allegedly trying to convert international calls into local calls with the help of SIM boxes. Ahead of Prime Minister's visit to the popular Shravani Mela for a long time, Jharkhand Chief Minister has reviewed preparation and security arrangements in Devghar.
बड़े वार्ता किए उद्धव ठाकरे जी ने, और उन दोनों वार्ताओं के बाद लोग वापस लौट कर नहीं आए और चले गए। मैं ये सवाल पूछ रही हूं कि अगर इतने चले गए तो आपने 16 लोगों को ही क्यों डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन नोटिस दिया? पूरे 40 को दीजिए या 38 को दीजिए जितने चले गए हैं, सिर्फ 16 लोगों को क्यों दिया? इसका मतलब कहीं ना कहीं नंबर में कोई प्रॉब्लम है। और दूसरी तरफ से वो कह रहे हैं वो असली सेना है, वो इलेक्शन कमीशन से सिंबल मांग रहे हैं, वो डेप्यूटी स्पीकर का डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन मांग रहे हैं। ये पूरे राज्य में चल क्या रहा है? जनता कहाँ है? यहाँ तो दोनों तरफ से बार्गेनिंग हो रहा है।
हाँ, ये अच्छा हुआ। देखिए उन्होंने क्या कहा, मैंने निवास छोड़ा है, जिद नहीं छोड़ी है। तो जिद हमने भी नहीं छोड़ी है, और जिद ये है कि हमें जब पता चलता है कि कुछ लोग धमका कर फंसा कर लेकर गए हैं, और जो फंस कर गए हुए लोगों को छुड़ाना है, तो हमें ये कार्रवाई कानूनन करनी पड़ेगी। हम हाथ छोड़ के बैठेंगे थोड़े ही, जान दो। तो जो लोग आना चाहते हैं तो कुछ तो कार्रवाई करनी है पार्टी को, तो पार्टी कानूनन कार्रवाई कर रही है, और वो कानूनन कार्रवाई हमने शुरू कर दी है। पहली बात है, अभी जो संविधान में जो बदलाव आया हुआ है, वो बदलाव ये है, 2/3 लोग हो गए तो उनका एक गुट बनेगा, लेकिन वो गुट वहां असेंबली में गुट करके नहीं बैठ सकता, उसको विलीनीकरण करना होगा। अब जाकर ये लोग, हम शिवसेना में रहने वाले, शिवसेना ही है, अब क्या होगा? अब जाना पड़ेगा या तो बीजेपी में या तो किसी अन्य पार्टी में। तो इसीलिए तो एक विपक्ष का जो हमारे पास एक मंत्री हमने बनाया था, जो हमारे साथ सपोर्ट करता था, उस मंत्री को बुला के ले लिया, वो गया है। वही तो कह रहा था कि बच्चों को हमारे पार्टी का मुख्यमंत्री बनेगा, तो आ गई ना। स्थिति क्या आई? ना घर के ना घाट के, ये सब घर के ना घाट के रहे, उनको महसूस हुआ है। आप जाकर अगर अंदरूनी बात वहां जाकर जानकारी ले लो कि क्या हो रहा है वहां, तब पता चलेगा कि वहां से कितने लोग वापस आना चाहते हैं। छोड़ दो, हमें उसकी पर आए न आए उनके ऊपर निर्भर करता है।
अरविंद सावंत जी, आप कह रहे हैं उनको धमकाया जा रहा है। संजय राउत जी ने तो बोल दिया आके कि हम तो शिवसैनिक हैं, हम तो सड़क पर उतरेंगे, और उसके बाद जितने एमएलए गए हैं उनके घर में तोड़फोड़ भी हो रही है। तो ये धमकाना नहीं है?
कौन ना, किसने? आपने जाना होगा, वंदनीय बाला साहब कहते थे, लोग तुम्हें चुनकर देते हैं शिवसेना का विधायक करके। जाना था तो इस्तीफा देकर जाना था। लोग तुम्हें चुनकर देते, किसी भी पार्टी का हो, मैं तो हमारी शिवसेना की बात नहीं। बाला साहब कहते थे, लोग तुम्हें क्यों वोट करते हैं? पार्टी के ऊपर वोट करते ना। अरविंद सांसद कौन है? वो सिर्फ आप बता रहे मोदी जी की छवि लगाते, तो बाला साहब कोई नहीं थे क्या महाराष्ट्र में? उनकी छवि नहीं थी, उनकी प्रतिभा नहीं थी, उनकी ताकत नहीं थी, उनके ऊपर विश्वास नहीं था? आदरणीय
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching News Now Overnight with me, Priya Bahel. These are the top stories we've lined up for you at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveils the national emblem atop new parliament building, tells Shramjeevis involved in construction, you are creating history. Opposition rues lack of invite to Emblem inauguration ceremony, accuses the Prime Minister of subverting the constitutional separation of powers, asks why was no other party invited to the event. On a day when United Nations predicted India could overtake China as the most populous country by next year, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath speaks on population control, says demographic imbalance should not be allowed to happen. Opposition sees Sanghi agenda. After court allows a crucial meeting, E. Palanisamy becomes interim AIADMK chief. OPS ousted from the party, vows to mount legal challenge. Sasikala backs OPS, says ouster illegal. Times now blows the cover of real puppeteers behind Ajmer threat mongers. Locals admit on camera Sarwar Chishti speaks at behest of the PFI. Even policemen admit on cam. Fear reigns supreme. Clerics who gave out Sar Tan Se Juda calls and called for boycott of Hindus are still running free. But Chief Minister Gehlot would still not address the real issue. Instead, harps on BJP linked to Kanhaiya murder yet again. State-run schools in 2 districts of Jharkhand pressurized to remain shut on Friday instead of Sunday. 70% children are Muslims offered as the reasoning.
कुछ thought process है.
Rohit Sharma rejects Kapil Dev's statement saying Kohli needs to perform to save his place in the squad. Indian captain says Dev is an outsider with no insight into the team strategy. Today, the Central Vista Row was reignited. How? Today, the Prime Minister will inaugurated our national emblem that will adorn the new Parliament building. He was unveiling the national emblem on the roof of new building, 6.5 meters high, weighing 16,000 kilograms. It is fully handcrafted by Indian artisans and is made of high purity bronze. This is one of its kind depiction of our national emblem anywhere across our country. Over 100 artisans worked on this emblem over 6 months to ensure that both timelines and beauty were taken care of. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also interacted with those who were responsible for making this a reality. He referred to them as Shramjeevis.
अच्छा, आप लोगों को क्या लगता है, इमारत बना रहे हैं कि इतिहास बना रहे हैं? सबको मालूम है, लोकतंत्र का मंदिर बना रहे हैं, आपको पता है सबको। तो काम करने के लिए उसमें क्या फर्क, मकान बनाते हैं और ये बनाते हैं, तो काम करते समय क्या फर्क होता है? हमें गर्व और क्या आपको लगता है कि हाँ, हमें यहाँ आए तो ये मन को अच्छा लगा है?